This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And good afternoon. We do have a tornado warning in eastern sections of Cheyenne County. This is western Rawlins County. This is going to be passing and actually right now focused north of Highway 36. This is radar showing some rotation. We don't have confirmation of a tornado at the present time, but the storm does continue to move back to the northwest. So yes, it is a little bit unusual movement, but not exactly unheard of. If you watch over the last hour, that storm again north of Highway 36, it'll stay north of Bird City and it'll stay north of St. Francis. No threat in Atwood at the present time, and it's basically right on the Cheyenne-Rawlins County line. We'll bring you up to the current time here and take a look and see as far as where the circulation would be centered at the moment, and it looks to me like it's very close to Highway 36 and right on the county line, Cheyenne and Rawlins County there, tracking northwest at again around 30. So what we'll do is we'll continue to monitor the situation. Again, no confirmation of a tornado happening at the present time. I am seeing another tornado warning back here in northwestern part of Cheyenne County. There you can see a little bit better circulation showing up. It's going to be some open country out here, but if you know someone in northwest Cheyenne County, make sure a text message, a phone call, just so they're mindful of the fact that storms in the area have shown a little bit of sign of rotation. We don't expect this to be a long-lived tornado scenario playing out here in northern sections of Cheyenne County, but again, we've got a couple tornado warnings at the moment. No confirmation of anything as far as a tornado happening at the present time, but something that we'll continue to watch here over the next several minutes. Both areas, this one that's northeast of Bird City as well as this one that's in extreme northwestern Cheyenne County, both of them are tracking to the northwest at around 30 miles per hour. So just to kind of show you what else is going on around northwest Kansas, because this is where the majority of the active weather continues to be. You can see the couple of tornado warnings that we have north of Highway 36. Other areas of heavy rainfall around Oakley and Colby, Goodland as well. As we go back to the south, you're going to see a lot of storms there covering most of Wichita County near Leota. Scattered thunderstorms around Garden City. We also have a few back to the southwest of southwest of Dodge City. We do not have any thunderstorms near the Wichita area at the present time. We'll continue with our coverage on 12.2. If we get any confirmation on those tornado warnings in northwest Kansas, we'll come back on the air. It's safe to say we'll be with you through the rest of the afternoon as this weather scenario unfolds on this Thursday.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And as promised, we'd come back on the air if we got some updated information. It sounds like law enforcement officials near the McDonald area spotting a tornado with this storm now north of Highway 36. We'll go in a little bit closer. We'll get McDonald to show up here on the map. Just wanted to let you know that, again, we did get some confirmation here. Probably, based on what we're looking at on radar, this is going to be a brief scenario that's playing out near the McDonald area. But again, law enforcement confirming that there was at least a tornado. Whether this is going to be something that stays on the ground for a long period of time, we wouldn't expect that based on what we're sampling with the radar. But this is near McDonald. This is the Cheyenne-Rawlins County line. Atwood's over here behind me. There you see Bird City and St. Francis out of the picture. So this is near McDonald, moving to the northwest. There you see the County Line Road. There's Road 31 and Road 28. That'd be 161 going north out of Bird City. So this is going to be northeast of there, near McDonald, areas north of Highway 36. Something that you'll want to be thinking about here as the storm continues to track to the northwest at around 30 miles per hour. But again, law enforcement did confirm that there was, at least as far as we know, a brief tornado with this storm right on the county line. We'll back the view out. This is not the only tornado warning that we have in effect for northwest Kansas. We also have the tornado warning out here in extreme northwestern Cheyenne County. Looks like now that rotation is now crossed over into northeast Colorado and it's moving northwest. So kind of unusual to see storms tracking from southeast to northwest. It does happen from time to time, but there's a big system that's spinning out in the southern Colorado, northern New Mexico area, and that's with winds going counterclockwise around it. That's what's driving these storms from southeast to northwest. So again, we do have the tornado warning in effect for northwestern parts of Cheyenne County. It does include a small part of western Rawlins County for that confirmation of a tornado. It was near the McDonald area, but if it's still Reaching, if we still have a tornado happening at the present time, it's probably northwest of McDonald as we're looking at it right now. There you can see the county line. Again, this is the Cheyenne-Rawlins County line, and it does continue to push back to the northwest at speeds of around 20 to 30 miles per hour. So you'll see that circulation now off to the northwest of McDonald. So we'll continue to keep a close watch on this. It really doesn't look all that, when we're sampling these with the radar, the signature just is not overly impressive. So our expectation here is that this was likely a brief spin up and perhaps has now moved away from McDonald as it continues to make its way now into northeastern sections of Cheyenne County. As we pointed out a little while ago, there are other thunderstorms across western Kansas and near the Dodge City area, but nothing that looks all that intense with respect to large hail or any rotating storms that might require a tornado warning. But we'll continue with our coverage on 12.2. If we get something additional, of course, we'll be back on the air.
Nausea, vomiting.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And we continue with this tornado warning for areas north of Highway 36. If you're not familiar with where in Kansas we're concentrating on, this is northwest Kansas. This is Cheyenne County, the northeast part of the county off to the north of Bird City. This is well north of Goodland too. Storm continues to move from southeast to northwest. It looks like the area of circulation now is completely wrapped in rain and has started to weaken a bit, so we don't expect that this tornado warning is probably going to go too much longer, but there's still an area about ready to cross 161, so anybody north of Bird City in that northeast area of Cheyenne County, remain alert as the storm continues again to move from southeast to northwest. We've had a couple brief tornadoes reported near the McDonald area. Those were several minutes ago, so at the moment we wouldn't suspect that there's an ongoing tornado, but we can't say with 100% certainty that we don't have something, but the circulation is starting to look less impressive than it did 15 or 20 minutes ago. And it's been very small all the way across western parts of Rawlins County and now in northeastern Cheyenne County. So again, moving to the northwest, I know that sounds a little out of place, and we don't normally see tornado producing storms go from southeast to northwest, but this setup today does favor that kind of storm motion out across western Kansas, and we do expect that this tornado warning is probably going to be dumped here momentarily. Again, as we take a look at the latest on radar and widen the view so you can see what else is going on, those are a couple of brief tornado reports, by the way, there in western Rawlins County. There are a lot of scattered thunderstorms out there. Most of them right now are really not much more than just some heavy rainfall and some small hail. We can see the storms do cover a good chunk of west central Kansas, and we can follow them all the way back into the Dodge City and Garden City areas. Once again, most of the storms are moving from southeast to northwest. Most of this activity around Dodge and Garden City at the present time is not much more than heavy rainfall, some lightning, and some small hail. But the environment still capable of the storms getting a bit stronger, so we'll continue to keep an eye on the situation and be back with you throughout the afternoon with more updates.
Storm Team 12.
Who wants to make a deal with me? You do. You do. It's you. Let's go.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And we've got another tornado warning that's now in effect for northern Rawlins County. This does include parts of the Atwood area, but looking at the latest radar scans, it looks like this storm is going to miss Atwood to the north. So let's go ahead and get in closer here as we are now seeing a newly developing circulation. This is Highway 36, and we've been referencing that a couple different times already today. And there's the notch that's showing up in the radar. It's south of County Road 314, and this is going to put it east of Highway 25. So based on the trajectory that this storm is on, it definitely looks like it will stay well to the north of the Atwood area. So we're looking at an area north of Highway 36, south of County Road 314, and it will be east of Highway 25. In terms of what kind of distance that we're talking about, let's see, from Atwood to where we see the circulation, it's easily about 5 miles to the northeast of town. So what we would be anticipating at this present time is that this is all radar showing rotation. We don't have any eyewitness accounts of anything like that happening at the moment. But again, it's about 5 miles to the northeast of the Atwood area, moving from southeast to northwest. That will be a pretty common movement with most of what we're going to show you this afternoon out here in western Kansas. But you can see there's a hook, and normally storms go from southwest to northeast, but this one, as you watch the radar animate from the last hour, is basically moving from southeast to northwest, and that storm should stay to the north of the Atwood area, eventually crossing over Highway 25. But at the moment, it's south of County Road 314 and east of Highway 25, tracking back to the northwest at around 30 to 35. So next in line, now let's bring you up to the current time and see who might be in the path of this storm, because it's missing Atwood to the north, and if it continues on that path in about 40 minutes or so, it's going to be crossing up into southern Nebraska. But it looks like it will stay north of the McDonald area, definitely staying north of Atwood, and that little notch that's showing up will soon cross Highway 25. But again, if there's going to be a tornado, and we don't have confirmation of that at the moment, it would stay north of Atwood and likely remain over rural areas of northern Rawlins County. So that's the situation for now. Again, our coverage continues on 12.2. We will be back on the air through the afternoon with more updates as it warrants.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And good afternoon. We want to update you on the tornado warnings that are ongoing right now in northwest Kansas. It's just about over with in northern Rawlins County. The storm hasn't, as far as we know, produced a tornado, but has now moved up into Nebraska. We've also had a new tornado warning issued. This is in extreme northern Cheyenne County. This is the Kansas-Nebraska state line, Benkelman, Nebraska. There you see Hagler, and radar has a little bit of a weak signature on it northwest of McDonald, north of Bird City. And just like we've been talking about with most of these storms, they're tracking from southeast to northwest, so this is not going to be in Kansas much longer before it crosses up into southwest Nebraska. No confirmation of a tornado there. Storm Team 12 storm chaser Ed O'Neill is out watching some storms in southwest Kansas, and I'll step out of the picture here so you can kind of see for yourself. We have had a couple reports of a possible wall cloud with the storm in southwest Kansas. Now, we don't have a tornado warning or anything like that ongoing in southwest Kansas, but we've been keeping an eye on Ed's video, and at times you can see some what look to be scary looking clouds, and that's truly what we call it, where you get some of these clouds that are showing up a little bit lower than everything else around it. And sometimes to the untrained eye, it can lead you to think that maybe we've got a developing funnel. Now, Ed has been chasing storms for a very long time, and he's communicating to us that he's been able to see an occasional wall cloud, but we've heard no reports of funnels or any kind of a tornado happening at the present time. But we did want to let you know that we do have our chasers out today, and they are really covering the storms in southwest Kansas, which so far today have not produced any tornadoes. Not a guarantee that we're going to see that today, but we think the environment is a little bit more supportive of potential tornadoes in southwest Kansas, more so than what we've seen farther north. So we'll see if anything develops out of this view here. Again, not likely to be something that's imminent, but back over to the radar just to kind of set everything up, because in and around Dodge City, things have been relatively tame for most of the afternoon, but storms are going to be coming at you from the south, most of them with heavy rainfall. There may be some small hail. We have not been detecting any real substantial rotation with anything that's showing up, whether it be in Clark County, southwestern Ford County, this activity moving across Gray County, but the situation can change very rapidly. And because we've got some stronger winds coming out of parts of New Mexico and the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma, there is a chance that some of these storms could escalate quickly if the stronger winds do in fact get involved with these storms that are already underway. But this line continues across Finney County, now moving across Scott City, in and around Scott City, in and around the Dighton area. It looks like heavy rainfall at the present time and perhaps maybe some small hail. We'll continue with our coverage on 12.2. Again, we've got our chasers out today, and we will be back with more updates throughout the rest of the afternoon.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And we're coming back on the air with a new tornado warning. This in northwest Kansas off to the northeast of the Goodland area. Looks like we're areas north of I-70, and this does not include the Goodland area. This is radar showing some rotation off to the northwest of Brewster, and we don't believe there to be a confirmed tornado at the present time, but there is just a very, very small area that we're looking at, and just you have to look very close here. We'll go in about as close as we can get, but we'll lose most of the towns here on the map. But right there it is. This is going to be east of Highway or east of County Road 28. And this, of course, over here, the Sherman-Thomas County line. So here's County Road 74 and County Road 28, and the circulation looks to me like it's still east of County Road 28. So this is well northeast of the Goodland area. Of course, great visibility in some of these locations, so might be able to be viewed from several miles away, but there's also a lot of precipitation happening in these areas too. So it may, of course, act like a curtain and obscure the view of it, if you will, but a tornado warning out for northeastern sections of Sherman County. Goodland not included. It does not include any areas of I-70, but it's going to be well east of Highway 27 and continuing to track mostly from southeast to northwest. You'll see it spin up right there. Again, small area that we're looking at, continuing to track now to the northwest. Not very quickly, at speeds of about 25 to 30 miles per hour. So that's the new tornado warning that we have in effect. Again, radar showing the rotation. No eyewitness accounts of anything like a tornado happening at the present time, but we did want to let you know what's happening out here in northwest Kansas. We also wanted to show you that we continue with some thunderstorms in southwest Kansas. This is also where Storm Team 12 Storm Chaser Ed O'Neill has been kind of keeping an eye on things west of Dodge City. Most of this is heavy rainfall at the present time, but remember, this part of the state is also in a tornado watch. And we've seen the situation escalate pretty quickly at times today, especially in northwest Kansas. So that sort of thing could happen in southwest Kansas, not necessarily a guarantee. Certainly don't see anything out there at the moment that's rotating rapidly that might prompt a tornado warning, but scattered thunderstorms are underway with some pockets of heavy rainfall. And again, we do have chasers in southwest Kansas keeping an eye on the situation. We'll continue with our coverage on 12.2. Be back on the air with more updates throughout the rest of the afternoon.
It's time. This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And another tornado warning just issued for northwestern Thomas County and the southwest corner of Rawlins County. There's no threat in Colby with respect to a tornado, and doesn't look like the storm will ever come close to the Atwood area. The circulation is showing up well to the northwest of Colby. So the tornado warning recently issued. Let's go ahead and go in a little closer and find the area of rotation and see where it may be going next. So this is going to be near County Road 11 and near CC. You can see that little hook that's showing up there. This is going to be just south of the Rawlins-Thomas County line. And once again, this is radar showing some rotation. We don't have any eyewitness account of a tornado, but green would be wind blowing back in toward Goodland, red away. And so it looks to me like the rotation is a little bit spread out at the present time. But this tornado warning in effect now for southwestern Rawlins County and extreme northeastern parts of Thomas County. Again, Colby right there in the center part of your screen, not in the red box, not included in this tornado warning. And it is moving from southeast to northwest. So if the path continues the way that we see it right now, it would suggest that this rotation is likely going to be headed for the southwest corner of Rawlins County. Again, no threat in Atwood, no threat in the city of Colby. This is a storm that's now off to your northwest and continuing to move to the northwest at around 30 to 35 miles per hour. So again, radar showing the rotation. It's starting to come together a little bit better now right on County Road 11 and CC there. So this is putting it in extreme northwestern Thomas County and still moving on to the northwest. We'll back the radar out just so you can see Colby, and we'll also bring Atwood into view. Both of them, the storm kind of northwest of Colby, likely to stay southwest of the Atwood area. And like we've been seeing with most of these storms today, they are moving from southeast to northwest, and this one following suit. So it will likely eventually be headed for the southwest corner of Rawlins County here in the next little while. We do have a lot of heavy rainfall happening, and they are issuing some flash flood warnings out for areas to the south of the Goodland area. Most of the heavy rainfall now has shifted east of Goodland, covers a big chunk of western Thomas County, and these locations had a lot of rain last night. So that may be something to be thinking about on more of a widespread scale, because we've got rain coming down at 1 to perhaps even 3 inches per hour with some of these storms. Going to be difficult to drive through and could lead to some flooding happening in Thomas County. But tornado warning again, northwestern Thomas County. The storm is moving away from Colby and is not on a path that would bring it close to the Atwood area. So right there on the Sherman or make that the Thomas-Rawlins County line. Again, that's going to be an area to watch as radar continues to show some rotation. That's the only tornado warning out there this afternoon. We'll continue to keep a close watch on it, keep the updated information coming on 12.2, and be back with you throughout the afternoon as the conditions change.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
The only tornado warning in Kansas at the present time is northwest of Colby and well to the southwest of Atwood. This storm is about ready to cross over into southwest Rawlins County. No confirmation of a tornado, but the radar signature getting a little bit stronger here, and it's right there. Again, it's just a couple miles from crossing over into southwest Rawlins County. The storm moving to the northwest at around 30. Our coverage continues on 12.2.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And another tornado warning now for northwestern Gove County. This storm, like so many others that we've been looking at this afternoon, are moving from southeast to northwest. There was at least one brief tornado reported with this storm. That would have been south of County Road S, and it's off to the southwest of Gove. If you watch the last hour play through, you'll see that storm that they've warned on now moving from southeast to northwest. As radar continues to show some rotation with it, this is going to be moving through rather open country out here in western sections of Gove County. But again, we wanted to let you know that there is a new tornado warning now for areas west of Gove, moving from southeast to northwest. If the storm holds together for at least another 20 to 30 minutes, there is some potential that it will cross I-70 and could potentially impact some areas west of Grinnell and perhaps around the Oakley area. So we'll put a quick storm track on it just to show you where this thing is going from here. And once again, we are tracking it back to the northwest at around 25 to 30 miles per hour. So if, and there's the big if, this thing holds together, Grinnell at 349, Oakley at around 404, and once again it will eventually cross I-70 back there in extreme northwestern sections of Gove County. This is radar showing some rotation, no eyewitness accounts of a tornado happening with the storm that has prompted this new tornado warning. We also wanted to remind you about the other tornado warning that's ongoing, and that's the one that's up there now almost completely contained in the southwest corner of Rawlins County. There's still a pretty good signature rotation showing up now in extreme southwest Rawlins County. If that storm holds together, may eventually require a warning that would expand farther north to include the McDonald area, but there's no threat of a tornado at the moment in and around the Atwood area. Coverage continues on 12.2. We'll be back through the afternoon.
Storm Team 12 has issued an alert for severe thunderstorms. This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
Good afternoon. Welcome into 12 News at 4. I'm Jacob Albrocht. It's a Storm Team 12 weather alert day as we track yet another round of storms this afternoon. Right now, much of the activity's over western Kansas with large hail and damaging wind, the biggest threats. We have seen some tornado warnings. We've got crews across the state to track conditions with 4 of our Storm Team 12 meteorologists watching these storms. Let's start with Chief Meteorologist Ross Jansen. Ross, do we have another tornado warning right now?
Yeah, we have a tornado warning in northwest Kansas. This is for Rawlins County. This is an area that we've seen some active weather quite often this afternoon. In fact, we just had a funnel cloud report with this storm well to the south of Atwood. First of all, let's set everything up for you and let you see how the radar is animating over the last hour. Storms are moving from southeast to northwest. That is a little unusual, but not unheard of given the setup that we're looking at today. And once again, the tornado warning coming down in just the last couple of minutes. We'll go in and find the circulation, the little marker that's showing up south of Atwood. That's going to be your funnel cloud report that came in just a little while ago. And the circulation looks like it's going to stay just to the south of the Atwood area, but here you can see the dispatch reporting a funnel cloud south of Atwood, and it looks like that storm continues again to move from southeast to northwest. We occasionally switch over to show you what the wind is doing inside of the storm to get a better understanding of where the potential tornado could develop. Again, this is radar showing rotation, no confirmation of anything happening with respect to a tornado, but it's going to be south along Highway 25, again moving from southeast to northwest. If you're in Atwood, you want to play it safe. The best way to find shelter from a tornado, as we typically say, below ground, in a basement. Cellars are good places to go. If that's not an option, you want to put as many walls between you and the approaching storm as you can. Closets and bathrooms, those are good places to be. We'll keep an eye on what's happening there. Meanwhile, heavy rainfall covering most of Cheyenne County. We can see the storms extending across most of Thomas County. Now remember, Thomas County had about 3 to 5 inches of rain last night, and we've got more rain tracking through the area. So it would not be a surprise to have some flooding concerns in Colby and areas on the east side of the county. We've also had some gusty winds up around 60 reported in the Oakley and Grinnell areas. Those storms again are moving from southeast to northwest, covering a big chunk of western Gove County. We find more scattered thunderstorms across Ness County, northern sections of Lane County. We've got scattered storms up in Trego County. All of them moving from southeast to northwest and from southwest Kansas. Strongest activity right now is just southeast of the Jetmore area, moving from south to north. Lightning going to be your biggest danger here, but this part of Kansas in a tornado watch, and we could see some additional development from where we are at the present time. Let's just show you the watch map here. Again, this is the tornado watch for western Kansas that goes until 7 o'clock this evening. We have multiple storm chasers out there today. We have lots of eyes on the storms that are already underway in western Kansas. Our very own meteorologist Adrian Campa has been out watching storms popping up in southwest Kansas, and he joins us now with an update. Adrian, what have you seen so far today?
Well, good afternoon, Ross. So thankfully, we haven't seen too much activity. Things have been off to a quiet start here in southwestern Kansas. We are currently in Greensburg, Kansas, off of Highway 400. I'm going to switch my camera around to show everybody what we're looking at. You can see just quiet skies right now, partly cloudy in the area, but we're watching some cumulus clouds trying to develop. There is a thunderstorm off just to our northwest near Spareville, to the northeast of Dodge. So keeping an eye on that thunderstorm. Again, you just heard meteorologist Ross Jansen say that this area is under a tornado watch until 7 p.m. this evening. So we continue to track out any storms, or we're going to continue watching out in this area to see if we can get a couple thunderstorms to develop. So all eyes are on southwestern Kansas right now to make sure if any storms do get going, since they are in an environment that could produce a tornado, we will be right here to help keep everybody safe. But since things are quiet right now for us here in Greensburg, we're going to send it over to Alex to take a look at what he's seeing in his location.
Well, Adrian, we are currently situated on the west side of Pratt right now, and things are relatively quiet here. About an hour ago, we had some light rain move through town here, but other than that, wind has picked up a little bit, definitely making for some blowing dust concerns if you're driving around rural portions of Pratt County. But other than that, it has been pretty quiet here for the most part. In addition, Storm Team 12 meteorologist Rodney Price is also out in the field. Rodney, what are you seeing where you're at?
Thanks, Alex. We are traveling on KWCH east of Anthony in Harper County. We do have some darker clouds here, as you see right side of the there, but so far no storms here in our location. Now we do have a mix of clouds and sunshine. Things are heating up. Certainly the atmosphere is getting a little more unstable here. A little stone's throw, just too far away from the Kansas-Oklahoma state line. But again, we are traveling towards Anthony on K44 in southern Harper County. We'll throw it back to Ross at the studio.
Rodney, we did get a new tornado warning. This is for northeastern parts of Thomas County. There's a circulation that's showing up just to the southwest of the Rexford area. So here's Colby. It's not within the outline here of the tornado warning itself, but as we try to get a better sampling here of where the possible tornado is going to be, it's going to be south of the Rexford area. And once again, as we've been telling you, storms are tracking from southeast to northwest. Radar shows rotation south of Rexford. This is going to be west of County Road 36 and to the east of Jim. So if you're south of the Rexford area, you're not going to be able to see this. There's so much rain happening with these thunderstorms that rain is going to act like a curtain and come all the way around the circulation. You'll never be able to see it. So we rely on Doppler radar in these kinds of situations. But again, this is some rotation showing up south of Rexford. New tornado warning now for the northeast part of Thomas County Colby is not included. Let's check in with meteorologist Peyton Sanders standing by in the Weather Center.
Yeah, so most of our tornado warnings today have been focused across northwest Kansas. One confirmed report of a tornado so far today, and some reports of some funnel clouds too. What we're looking at here, this is from Storm Team 12 storm chaser Scott Roberts. He's in Ford County, northeast of the Dodge City area, looking at the storm that's moving north of Spearville. You see darkening skies with that storm as it's lifting up toward the north. This storm currently not severe. It's just producing some heavy rainfall. But again, we're going to continue to track these thunderstorms as they start to move east as we continue on here through the rest of the afternoon and evening hours as they continue to move into an environment that is still capable of producing severe weather. So we do have eyes on these storms a little bit farther south in our area as they continue to push off to the east. We'll keep an eye on them and have more updates as we head on here through the rest of the afternoon and evening.
All right, Peyton, thank you, and thank you to our entire team of meteorologists working hard for you all day long, and you can see that and stay ahead of the storm as well with our Storm Team 12 app. Our meteorologists are posting regular videos there explaining some of the science behind this stuff. We've got radar interactive. It can follow you right down to your location, and you can scroll right to the bottom of the app and submit your storm shots to us if you can do that safely. We've made it easy to find the app. If you don't already have it, you can point your cell phone camera right there at that QR code. It will pull it up. You can download it. It is free in both the App Store and Google Play, whether you have an iPhone or an Android device. Storm Team 12 weather app is a necessity.
Storm Team 12 is always looking ahead to warn you first, using the most advanced technology and breaking down the models to track the next weather maker before it hits Kansas. And at the first sign of threatening weather, expect Chief Meteorologist Ross Jansen to issue a Storm Team 12 Weather Alert Day, giving you days to prepare for whatever Mother Nature has planned. Storm Team 12 Weather Alert Days, sponsored by ABC Recycling.
Ross, we welcome back in. Very active day, and I think a question for a lot of people watching us right now, all the activity out west, is this same activity expected to move all the way on through Wichita?
So if we're going to have severe weather in Wichita, it's going to be new stuff that's going to have to develop, because the stuff out on the west is moving north and will likely clear the area later on this evening. But it appears we have a new tornado warning now in the southeast corner of Rawlins County. This is going to be for areas south of Highway 36. What we've got going on, these are going to be brief tornadoes if they actually materialize. The warnings are being issued off of what we see on radar, and right now there's a new circulation that may be showing up there in the southeast corner of Rawlins County. The initial warning, though, we're not seeing the original circulation we did about 15 or 20 minutes ago. So these are going to be brief indications from radar. Doesn't guarantee that we're going to get tornadoes. Remember, warnings are issued because of something we see on radar or somebody has spotted something. In most cases today, it's been because of what we see on radar. We'll come back in a few minutes, put it in motion, and see how long this severe weather threat. Got another close call coming up tomorrow. We'll check in on that right after the break.
Casey's, here for good.
This is a Storm Team 12 Weather Alert.
And good Thursday afternoon. The tornado warning continuing in southeastern Rawlins County. The initial one that included Atwood was dropped early, and this one for southeast Rawlins County goes for about another 12 or 13 minutes. Most of them have short duration because of the nature of the atmosphere and what we're dealing with today. A brief spin up possible. These are not going to be your violent long track tornadoes that we're dealing with today, but at the moment we'll start up here in Rawlins County watching a storm that does have a circulation with it. Again, that's the rotating part of the storm that might produce a brief tornado, but it is going to be so difficult to see because there's so much rainfall happening with these storms that it's obscuring the view of anything that might be underway. So getting an eyewitness account, we're probably not going to get that sort of thing. But what we're watching here, and this is well southeast of the Atwood area, going in a little bit closer here, you're going to see some of the county roads popping up. So right here's Highway 25, and Atwood's going to be way up at the top part of your screen. The area that we would be watching would be down here in the southeast corner. And if it's moving from southeast to northwest, if this thing were to hold together long enough, sure, there's a chance it could reach the Atwood area. But given how things have played out today, most of these circulations that we're detecting on radar only last for maybe about 10 minutes at most, and then they're absorbed by the rest of the storm. We'll see if that's what happens here in parts of Rawlins County. But look at all of this rain, because what's happening on a widespread scale, and this seems out of place given all the newscasts where we've covered drought. Look at the reports of flooding coming in. This from Bird City, and you can see we've got a county road that's been washed away at points because of high water. Go figure. We've had months of drought, and now all of a sudden we've got some county roads that are covered or washed away. Here, several streets in Bird City covered by water, that at 3:40 this afternoon, and there's still more rain to come. It's still pretty heavy in a lot of these places. The tornado warning for northeastern Thomas County no longer. Heavy rainfall covers a good part of Sheridan County, and then we follow this trail of storms back into the northwest corner of Ness County. We've got some storms up here just to the east of Jetmore. There has been some strong winds up to about 50 or 60 reported on that storm in Hodgman County. No severe thunderstorm warning happening there. We don't have any active weather along the state line. We don't have any severe weather near the Wichita area, but we're still in an environment where we'll probably see some additional stuff popping up as the evening wears on. Your tornado watch right now for western Kansas till 7 o'clock tonight. The risk of severe weather tomorrow is mostly going to be over the Flint Hills and on to the east. Take a look at how this is going to play out. Storms continue to move to the north. Additional storms could pop up over south central Kansas. The window for Wichita and Hutchinson probably 6 to 9 o'clock tonight. There may be some additional storms out in northwest Kansas as we approach midnight, right underneath of the low pressure itself. And then for tomorrow, we start with a few clouds. Sun's going to come out in the afternoon. Still 80s out there tomorrow, but a couple of storms could pop up over the Flint Hills as we go into the early evening. Those would get out of here very quickly. Tonight's forecast, 50s and 60s. Storms will be shutting down in western Kansas once we get beyond midnight. Even central and eastern Kansas will be calming down later on. 70s and 80s out there tomorrow, but maybe just 62 in Goodland with a lot of clouds. 79 in Dodge, looking at 86 in Wichita. On the 10-day forecast, you'll see on Saturday partly cloudy and 80. Mother's Day mostly cloudy. Next week, we really don't have a lot of rain coming up. Just one chance on Friday with a cold front, the high 79, and maybe some late afternoon or early evening storms.
Well, we are live here in Greensburg in our mobile weather lab, and we're off of Highway 400 just watching to see if thunderstorms are going to start developing. So far this afternoon, things have been off to a quiet start here in the Greensburg area, but I'm going to switch my camera around because we are watching something. So looking off in the distance, hopefully everybody can see that. The popcorn type clouds that we're looking at in the sky, those are cumulus clouds that are trying to develop, and that's kind of a sign that this area is trying to produce some thunderstorms. In the environment that we're in, currently under a tornado watch until 7 p.m. this evening, there's a chance that these clouds developing could materialize and turn into a thunderstorm that could go on to produce severe weather. So again, no weather concerns as of right now here in Greensburg, but you still need to remain on high alert as there is a chance we could begin to see some thunderstorms developing in the near future. So right now we're just watching the skies as it's been fairly quiet here in Greensburg in the mobile weather lab. But again, keeping an eye to the sky, and we're going to let you know as soon as anything changes here in Greensburg. But for now, I'm going to send it over to Alex to see what he's seeing at his location.
Well, Adrian, we are now on the east side of Pratt here. This camera shot is looking off towards the east, towards Kingman and Wichita. And looking at radar right now, it doesn't appear to, that we have any storms off in the distance here, but much like where Adrian is at, it definitely feels sticky, warm. The conditions for severe storms, that potential is still there. Again, we will continue to follow these storms, and more than likely we may be tracking to the south or to the east, depending on if any storms decide to pop up this afternoon and this evening. For now, live in Pratt, Alex Jurgens, 12 News.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
Welcome into our second half hour here on 12 News at 4. I'm Jacob Albrocht. It's a Storm Team 12 weather alert day. We continue to track severe storms in Kansas. Right now, much of that activity in western Kansas. We have seen tornado warnings throughout the afternoon here. Crews across the state to help us track these conditions all over the place. 4 of our Storm Team 12 meteorologists are watching this thing. We'll start with Chief Meteorologist Ross Jansen here to break down What's out there on radar right now, Ross?
And Jacob, that tornado warning for southeast Rawlins County is getting ready to expire. We have had no confirmation. Most of these warnings today, about 95% of them, have been issued off of what we see on radar, not from ground truth or an eyewitness account, because there's so much rain happening with these storms. We pointed out earlier in the newscast that it's going to be almost impossible to really get a good visual if there were to be a tornado. So they're just dropping off the screen that tornado warning for southeastern Rawlins County, but a lot of heavy rain. And I think what we need to be prepared for here is the possibility of flooding. I know it seems so something like a distant thought, you know, with all the dry weather that we've had, but because we have one storm following another, you've got heavy rain in Atwood, and look what's coming in from the southeast yet again. More heavy rain, one storm following another, like a train going down a track. That is usually a setup for flooding, and we've already had some roads out in portions of Cheyenne County washed away from some high water. So keep that in mind, because even though we're going to have some occasional tornado warnings, on a larger scale, flooding might be a bigger danger. Some gusty winds remain possible. We've got a lot of heavy rainfall now in eastern sections of Thomas County, covering a good swath of Sheridan County. Hoxie getting hit with some heavy rain, a lot of lightning, some small hail possible here. And then I did want to point out that we've had some new storms popping up in and around the Hayes area. We've got dark skies. We can see it from our Skycam in Hayes. Couple of showers here and there. We are not detecting rotation. We're not picking up on any large hail. Just north of Waukene, and that storm is now crossing over into southern sections of Graham County, mostly moving from southeast to northwest, as are the scattered thunderstorms across southern Gove County. We go a little farther south. We've had our eyes on a storm in Hodgman County that does have a history of producing some gusty winds, but the likelihood of a tornado extremely low here because of some rain-cooled air that's rushing out below that storm, and right now it does appear to be minimizing the overall tornado threat there. We've also been watching northern Oklahoma. If you've lived in Kansas for a long time, you know sometimes activity that pops up down in Oklahoma comes into south central Kansas. We are not picking up on anything at the present time, but that chance still does exist for at least a few more hours. We do have a team out there keeping an eye on the skies, and meteorologist Adrian Campa has spent most of his day in southwest Kansas, and he provides us with an update now.
That's right, Ross. So I'm currently here in the mobile weather lab in Greensburg, Kansas, off of Highway 400. We're sitting in front of a gas station. We've been watching, keeping our eyes to the sky. Now, on radar, things have been relatively quiet here in Kiowa County, but I want to point your direction to what we're looking at. So switching the camera and looking off to the sky, you can see the popcorn-type features in the clouds. Those are cumulus clouds, so we're watching, seeing some southerly flow increasing in this area. You step outside, you can feel the moisture just rising, so we're waiting to see if we can get some activity going. This part of the state is currently under a tornado watch until 7 p.m. this evening. Again, there is nothing happening right as of now here in Kiowa County or in Greensburg, but we continue to watch out and continue to see these clouds kind of bubbling up, and that's a sign that something could be changing. So I want to make sure that everybody remains weather alert. Have our free KWCH Storm Team 12 weather app. We have so many great tools on there to help keep everybody safe. But again, things are off to a quiet start here in Greensburg. Going to be hanging around here for a while to see if we can get any thunderstorm activity to pop up. But until then, we're going to check in with Alex to see what he's seeing in his location.
Well, Adrian, much like it is where you are located at, it is quiet here on the east side of Pratt. It seems that the wind has kind of backed off a little bit here within the last few minutes. In addition to some light rain we had about an hour and a half ago, we really haven't seen any rainfall or anything of that sort yet. And we have our camera pointed off to the east towards Kingman and Wichita, and looking at radar right now, it does not appear currently that there are any rain clouds or anything of that sort yet. But again, we will keep track of as to where, if any, storms fire up this afternoon and this evening. We will keep a close eye on that. We will send it over to Rodney Price. Rodney, where are you located at right now?
Alex, we're at the Anthony Airport, just to the west of Anthony, Kansas, and Harper County. We have considerable clouds here. Looking at some of those there with a camera as we look off to the west and northwest. Currently no rain at our location, but a lot of clouds, just a little bit breezy. And otherwise, a pretty humid afternoon that we have here in Harper County, waiting for any potential development here, but right now not seeing that at the current time. We'll throw it back to the studio with Peyton Sanders.
Thanks, Rodney. Yeah, we have been mainly dealing with the tornadic activity in northwest Kansas today, where we've had at least 3 confirmed reports of tornadoes. We'll get more confirmation on that, see if there's going to be any damage surveys in the next couple of days, but they are mainly in rural areas, so we might not get the damage surveys out of those. Take a look at Ed O'Neill's live video here. He is with that storm in the eastern part of Hodgman County. We've been looking at some interesting cloud features, but nothing that's overly significant that would indicate any sort of tornadic potential. We did have some lowerings with this storm earlier when it was in Ford County, but that was about 30 minutes ago now. And again, as Ross mentioned, this storm having a little bit more of an outflow feature coming out with it. So rain-cooled air, that's mainly leading to a strong wind potential, but not even quite severe with this thunderstorm. Just some heavy rainfall as it continues to push up into the eastern sections of Hodgman County. Scott Roberts is also on this thunderstorm, so we're going to continue to monitor both of their feeds. They will continue to remain across parts of southwest and south central Kansas, with any new storms that continue to push east as we head through the rest of the afternoon and evening. They'll follow those, and we'll pass along any information that they have as we go here through the next few hours.
All right, Peyton, thank you. You heard Adrian talk about our Storm Team 12 app. I'm going to show you a few of those features here. It's easy, it's free, and you can stay out ahead of the storm. So we've got videos there with our meteorologist explaining exactly what's happening, some of the science behind this stuff. But if you point your camera right now at that QR code, you can download the app. It's free for Apple and Android devices. It is a great feature to have. We can alert you ahead of storms and let you know if anything dangerous is headed your way, depending on where you are.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And welcome back here on the Storm Team 12 Weather Alert Day. Right now we're dealing with a lot of heavy rainfall in northwest Kansas. We're still not out of the woods and won't be for several more hours for a brief tornado to show up in Kansas. Most of it today has been focused over northwest Kansas, and we have a lot of heavy rainfall between Oberlin and Atwood along Highway 36. You're going to see most of this is moving from southeast to northwest. And if you're just joining our coverage today, if that seems or sounds unusual to you, it typically is. But we've got a big low pressure and it's spinning around in Colorado. And if you envision for a moment the winds going counterclockwise, because that's what they do, that would explain why this stuff in Kansas is going from southeast to northwest. It does happen from time to time. We're not seeing something that is completely out of the norm. But, you know, what we're seeing today, again, that is the movement, southeast to northwest. We've got widespread rainfall covering northwest Kansas. There's also been several reports of flooding going on. We've had some county roads out here to the north of Bird City and in Bird City of some high water, and we're probably going to see some additional reports of that because the rainfall does continue in a lot of these areas. It has started to ease up in Colby, but in eastern sections of Thomas County, we do have some ongoing heavy rainfall. A lot of lightning with some of these storms. Looks like just west of Hill City, some heavy rainfall. Again, moving from southeast to northwest, and we see some of that heavier rainfall right now over toward the Plainville area. Pockets of heavy rain around the Hayes vicinity. None of this in Ellis County looks severe. Even the stuff that we're seeing back here in eastern sections of Gove County. This is not severe, but heavy rainfall, and you may get some gusty winds to around 50 or 60. Scattered showers around Dighton. We've got a little bit of rain just east of Nez City. The rain picks up there in the extreme northeast corner of Hodgman County. Around Dodge City, things are pretty quiet. South of Dodge City, things are looking pretty quiet. And then I wanted to show you from a statewide view how things kind of look for the rest of our coverage area, because we don't have any storms near Wichita. We don't have anything down here in Oklahoma. It is all focused over northwest Kansas and probably will be for the short term, but additional storms could still pop up. This is a view from Hayes. Dark skies, pockets of heavy rainfall. We don't have a tornado nearby. 68 degrees in Hayes at the present time. Now tomorrow, the risk of severe weather is going to be mostly centered over northeast Kansas. There could be a stray storm in southeast Kansas, but we're not expecting a big severe weather day tomorrow. 62 in Colby tomorrow, 79 in Dodge, 78 in Hayes. There could be some early morning showers in the northwest, but most of you will have dry weather tomorrow. 80s return to central and eastern Kansas. Sunshine will be abundant. Winds will be a little bit gusty out of the south or southwest. Wichita expected to go back to 86 tomorrow. 84 for Newton, 85 in Hutch with southwest winds of around 10 to 20. Your Mother's Day weekend forecast. Saturday 80 degrees, a little bit more cloud cover on Sunday, but if you're planning a barbecue outdoors with mom, it really does look like we should be in for some nice weather this weekend.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Meteorologist Adrian Campa here live from our mobile weather lab here in Greensburg off of Highway 400. Things have been off to a quiet start this afternoon. I'm going to switch the camera around to show you exactly what we're looking at. Some bubbling clouds, cumulus clouds. We're waiting to see if anything tries to develop into a storm. But we have seen the temperature rise a little bit up to 71 degrees here in Greensburg. And our dew point temperature, the moisture also rising due to some breezy southeast winds that we're watching up to around 20 miles per hour, bringing in that humidity and increasing cloud cover. So we're waiting here to see if we'll get a thunderstorm to develop because we still remain under tornado watch here in Kiowa County until 7 p.m. this evening. Conditions are still favorable to see some stronger storms. But again, things are off to a quiet start. I'm going to send out things over to Alex to see what he's seeing, where he's at. Alex?
Thank you, Kansas, for 70 great years.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
Welcome into 12 News. The threat for severe weather continues across Kansas tonight. A live look at radar. Western Kansas getting some more much-needed rain out there.
So far, most of the action has been in the northwest part of the state where we've seen numerous tornado warnings pop up today. We do have 4 meteorologists covering severe weather for us this evening. Adrian Campa and Rodney Price are out tracking storms for us. Peyton Sanders is also keeping touch with our storm chasers. We have 12 News reporter Alex Juergens out as well. We'll begin with Chief Meteorologist Ross Jansen for the very latest on what's happening right now.
And Mike and Rachel, right now what we're seeing is most of the active weather continuing across northwest Kansas. We have no tornado warnings and we have no severe thunderstorm warnings here as we start 12 News at 5. But we go right into northwest Kansas and probably on a widespread scale, the biggest concern right now, flooding. Go figure. After talking weeks and months about drought, we have ongoing heavy rainfall covering a big part of Decatur County, western Norton County starting to see the heavier rainfall, and just about everything today has been moving from southeast to northwest, and we're going to come back later in the show and talk about why we're seeing that. But widespread rain covers most of Rawlins County. We did have a couple of funnel clouds earlier today, even one brief tornado near the McDonald area. We have not heard any reports of damage there. Rain continues in northern Cheyenne County. Some county roads north of Bird City have been washed out because of some high water. Scattered thunderstorms continue across Sheridan County, the heaviest of the rain both south and west of Hoxie. And once again, as you watch radar play through, movement from southeast to northwest. The rain is a little bit heavier on the western side of Graham County. We've seen another storm develop to the southeast of town that will be coming on through. Some heavy rainfall, small hail, a little bit of rain to the north of Hayes. We've got some scattered storms west and east of Ness City. Over the last hour, you'll see how this stuff is basically moving from south to north across Ness County and south of Dodge City. Things have started to calm down, but we still very much are in a situation where we could see additional storms popping up. Northern Oklahoma, by the way, continues to look nice and quiet for now. We do have meteorologist Adrian Campa out there. He's been in southwest Kansas most of the afternoon. Adrian, give us an update on where you are and what you've been able to see so far today.
Yeah, that's right, Russell. We've been in southwestern Kansas. Here in Kiowa County and Greensburg, we are heading east on Highway 400 back towards Pratt County because we've been watching some cumulus clouds, which are the popcorn type of puffy clouds that you see in the sky. So I'm switching our camera view. Also want to add that I'm currently not driving. Our photographer, Casey, is currently driving us right now, but you can see these clouds and they're kind of bubbling up, and that's a sign that we could be watching to see a potential storm brewing. And as you heard Ross say, we are in an environment here where we could see thunderstorms quickly turn severe. So we're watching these clouds to see if they can materialize and turn into a thunderstorm. But as of yet, we're not really seeing anything besides the clouds kind of bubbling up, but hinting at signs that we could be seeing development here within the next hour. So good idea to make sure you have our free KWCH Storm Team 12 weather app so that way you are always ahead of the storm. And of course, keep it on 12 News. But for now, heading east on Highway 400 towards Pratt County, keeping an eye on the sky. Meteorologist Adrian Campa for 12 News. Back to you, Russ.
All right, thanks, Adrian. Just one of our team out there covering the weather today. We also have meteorologist Rodney Price kind of keeping an eye on things in south central Kansas. Rodney, give us an update on where you are and what you've been able to see in the last couple of hours.
Well, Ross, we are at the Anthony Airport right now, just west of Anthony in Harper County. Here with photographer Tim Steiner. We're sitting here looking off to the west and southwest as Tim kind of moves the camera around here. We have considerable clouds right now here in Anthony. I see about one patch of blue sky, but the majority of the cloud cover covering the sky here as we speak. And just a little bit ago, I know we're not in the mobile weather lab. I'm going to call our operation here the portable weather lab because I have a handheld anemometer. We just took a little wind information. We've got southeast winds at about 20 miles per hour. It's 77 degrees and our dew point is 63. So there's certainly plenty of moisture here in Anthony and across Harper County. But right now, just a lot of clouds. We don't see any kind of storms at this point, but continuing to watch as we go through the next couple of hours. Ross?
It's Rodney, and we do want to remind you about the tornado watch that continues over western Kansas until 7 o'clock tonight. Standing by with some updates from the chaser feeds. We'll send it over to meteorologist Peyton Sanders.
Yeah, so you just saw Rodney's feed there in the Anthony area where we had a lot of low clouds. Look what's happening just a couple counties west here. This is in Ford County from Scott Roberts. He was up on that storm in Hodgman County, but deciding to move away from it now and go back to the west, closer to the Dodge City area, where you see we have a little bit more sunshine. We're going to see if any of these clouds can manage to grow and develop into thunderstorms as we head here through the next couple of hours. It's not a guarantee that we're going to see that across southern Kansas tonight, but we are being prepared for that potential that if we do see one or two storms develop, portions of southwest and south central Kansas, they could be severe and they'll move east as we head into the evening. So again, several eyes in southwest and south central Kansas. Again, we've had most of the storm activity that's been tornadic today in the northwest part of the state, but we'll continue to watch southern Kansas for that possibility too as we head on here through the rest of the evening.
All right, thanks very much, Peyton. And one more stop to make. We are going out to Alex Jurgens, keeping an eye on the sky also in south central Kansas. Alex, give us an update.
Ross, we are just north of Pratt, a couple of miles here, and it has been relatively quiet here this afternoon here. Looking off to the north, you may see some storm clouds off there, but looking on radar here, we are not seeing any sort of storm activity yet from Pratt County and points north. That being said, as Ross has mentioned, we are still very much in an environment where severe storms could pop at any given moment, so we will continue to follow this as we get into the evening hours. For now, live in Pratt County, Alex Jurgens, 12 News.
All right, thanks very much, Alex. Again, we'll continue to gather some new information. I've got a couple of very interesting rainfall reports, and we'll also explain why storms are moving from southeast to northwest. We'll come back with the rest of your forecast here in just a few minutes. Mike?
Ross, thank you. Right now on the Storm Team 12 app, meteorologists are posting videos. They're updating you on the latest threat when it comes to severe weather. You can view those right at the top here, and again, those update throughout the day. Radar, you get that interactive radar, and then an hour-by-hour breakdown as that data changes throughout the day. If you don't have the app, you can get it. It is free. Just hold your camera right up to that QR code. It'll take you to the app so you can download all of that content.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And we did get another tornado warning issued out here in western Kansas. This is in western sections of Wallace County, west of Sharon Springs. We are hearing about a confirmed tornado near the Weskin area. The storm is actually moving back toward the northwest and will soon cross over. Let's see, that would be Highway 40 to the west of Sharon Springs. Again, this is a tornado warning for areas west of Sharon Springs, continuing to move back to the northwest at speeds of around 25 to 30 miles per hour. So as we take another look here, and then we'll zoom in and we'll get Weskin to show up. This is a very small part of Wallace County that we're looking at, and right there is the circulation. It's almost on the state line right now. That's the Kansas-Colorado state line that we're looking at. So here's Weskin, and we've got a rotation there. Also looks like we may be trying to develop something just east of Weskin. So if you're in this area west of Sharon Springs, you want to be mindful of the fact that we've got two different areas that we're watching, both of them showing some rotation. Again, southwest of Weskin, also another one that's just east of town. If the radar is 100% correct in its location, there's a chance that it will split and go both west and perhaps even east of Weskin. But if you're in that area, again, you should be moving to a place of safety. This will definitely stay west of Sharon Springs. So this is, again, a tornado warning for western Wallace County. That's the Kansas-Colorado state line there. And these storms continue to move to the north-northwest at speeds of around 25 to 30 miles per hour. So once again, this is a tornado warning in western sections of Wallace County. If you're in that area, And definitely in the Weskin area, you want to be moving to a place of safety. Again, this will stay west of the Sharon Springs area as it continues to move along to the northwest. This is the only warning that we have right now in Kansas. We'll continue with our coverage on 12.2, and of course, if we see some additional information, we'll come back on the air. But 12 News at 6 will provide complete coverage of what we're seeing out there west of Sharon Springs.
I'm Sherry.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And we're coming back on the air with a new tornado warning now east of Sharon Springs and western Logan County. We've also had a couple different reports of tornadoes near the Weskin area. One report of a multi-vortex tornado, which would usually signal a fairly good sized tornado in progress. Now, we believe that has shifted back to the west and northwest of the Weskin area, and still Sharon Springs kind of in between active weather to the west and some ongoing activity to your east. We'll put radar in motion so you can see how this is all progressing, because we've had some unusual movement to the storms today. Mostly what's east of Sharon Springs is moving from south to north. What is west of Sharon Springs is actually moving back toward the northwest and has now crossed over Highway 40 west of Sharon Springs. So let's go ahead and get in a little bit closer here where we've had these confirmed tornadoes. This was about 6 or 7 minutes ago, and there you see Weskin coming into view. We've had a circulation southwest of town. We've also had another one just to the east of the Weskin area. And as we go into the current time, I'll show you what we're looking at here with respect to what's happening with these tornado warnings. And now the circulation is north of Highway 40, so that could be one tornado there. Another one is right about on the Kansas-Colorado state line, so we can now essentially give the all clear to Weskin because the rotation has shifted northwest of there and it is safely staying out of the Sharon Springs area. But now with this new tornado warning that's in effect east of Sharon Springs, let's see what we can find on radar. And it looks like we've got an area that a little bit suspect there around the town of Wallace. Again, so that's going to put it east of Sharon Springs in the Wallace area. And then also kind of interested in what we're seeing right here on the Logan-Wallace County line. Let's go ahead and animate this and see how this whole thing is progressing. So we'll see that circulation. So yes, we do have something in the Wallace area. It looks a little suspicious there, and perhaps maybe another developing area right inside the Logan County vicinity. That would be well west of Russell Springs. So you're getting into some very open areas out here, but that is certainly of concern near the town of Wallace. Right there along Highway 40, looks like we have a circulation that's passing overhead. Not a guarantee that we're going to get a tornado out of this, but that is something that we do need to continue to monitor for, as it sounds like we have had at least a couple of confirmed tornadoes west of Sharon Springs. Now what's happening east of Sharon Springs, looks like we have a rotating part of this storm that's going right over the town of Wallace. This is in eastern sections of Wallace County. If you're not familiar, this is very far out in western Kansas. In fact, we're almost to Colorado at this point in time. So if you're not familiar with what counties we're talking about here, again, this is in western Kansas. So Highway 40 here, we've got a circulation going over the town of Wallace. There's another area here that's well south and east of Wallace, getting ready to cross the Logan-Wallace County line. And then the multi-vortex tornado, which it would again signal something of a little bit more significance, now has gone north of Weskin and north of Highway 40. Still looks like we may have something there ongoing west of Sharon Springs, and that looks to me like it's now moving more to the north, but perhaps could take a jaunt back to the northwest if we continue to see the radar animations the way that we are looking at them right now. So again, this is just developing in about the last 15 minutes. A couple of tornado warnings out here in western Kansas. We did get that confirmation of the tornado that was initially south of the Weskin area. That has since crossed Highway 40, western side of Wallace County, and now this new tornado warning east of Sharon Springs. We can safely say in Sharon Springs at the present time, it looks like if there's going to be a developing tornado, it would be north of Sharon Springs and likely moving away from town. It would be mostly to the west of Highway 27. But we do want to continue with our guard up here around the town of Wallace, extreme eastern sections of Wallace County, because there you can see if we have a developing tornado, which again, we don't have confirmation of that happening east of Sharon Springs, this is going to be something where we may potentially see a confirmation of something developing a little bit further based on what we're seeing here on radar. So Highway 40, the town of Wallace, if you're in that area, again, be moving to a place of safety. These things have been developing very quickly today. The environment not necessarily keeping them sustained for very long, but if this thing spins up right over top of you, you want to be sheltered as they continue to push on through the area. So looks like we just got a new scan of radar imagery, and it still looks like it's very close to Wallace, right over Highway 40 at the moment, as we continue with the tornado warning in eastern sections of Wallace County and western parts of Logan County. Both of these areas, we're still seeing the rotation either moving to the north or northwest. Looks like they've just now reissued the tornado warning a little bit farther north. There's not going to be any towns included in this new warning, because once you get north of Highway 40, this is going to be some pretty open country out here, but north of Highway 40 to the north of Weskin, new tornado warning has just been issued, and this is going to take us until let's see, the expiration time on that till 5:30 Mountain Time, so we've got a little ways to go with this. But also east of Sharon Springs, this rotation that's showing up now north of the town of Wallace, and another one that's in extreme western sections of Logan County. This is the most active weather that we have seen so far in the last couple of hours right out here in far western Kansas. Again, that's the Kansas-Colorado state line, and most of this activity is either moving north or taking a slight movement back to the northwest. We're going to pause here momentarily. We're getting ready for 12 News at 6, which will, of course, continue with our coverage of the active weather ongoing in western Kansas.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
It's a Storm Team 12 weather alert day as we continue to track a third day of severe storms here in Kansas.
Yeah, we get right back to Ross first. So our team of chasers across the state tonight keeping their eye on potential threats, which could include flooding. And as you've been listening to, tornadoes. So our weather team, 4 of our meteorologists watching those conditions tonight. Let's get started, though, with Chief Meteorologist Ross Jansen. So, Ross, we've seen these tornado warnings and flood watches already. What do we expect as well heading through the night?
Well, we're still definitely not out of the woods for more active weather, and this stuff has been developing very quickly this afternoon. We just went through a period of about an hour and a half with no tornado warnings, and now all of a sudden in the last 15 minutes things have flared up once again. This part of Kansas is getting closer to the parent storm that's coming out of eastern Colorado, and so there's already a lot of spin in the atmosphere, and with these developing thunderstorms right underneath of the low pressure itself, it's a little bit easier to get these quick spin ups, and that's what we've seen. We've had in the last 10 to 15 minutes what is reported to be a multi-vortex tornado. It's usually when you hear that, you're thinking of a larger tornado. Now, we don't know if these circulations, if they're just smaller ones spread out over a larger area. We simply don't know, but based on what we have seen on radar, we had at one point about 10 or 15 minutes ago, 3 different circulations right here in western sections of Wallace County. This is the Kansas-Colorado state line here, so we are as far west in western Kansas as we can get, but now the circulation, and if there's an ongoing tornado, it is likely north of Weskin and north of Highway 40, and likely staying well to the northwest of Sharon Springs. So watch very carefully. You'll see there are at least two, I think there are 3 though in here, circulations that have now shifted back to the northwest of Highway 40. So tornado warning ongoing west of Sharon Springs. If we look east of town, we had a circulation that went right over the town of Wallace. So now we're east of Sharon Springs. That has now moved on to the north of the town of Wallace. That will likely stay north of Sharon Springs too. And then from western sections of Logan County, it looks like we are dealing with at least some gusty winds, but right now it really, to me, doesn't look like we're probably dealing with a confirmed tornado there in western Logan County. Just to kind of set everything up for you, we don't have any storms at the moment in central or south central Kansas. We've had some active weather in northwest Kansas, so we'll check out the storms that are underway up around the Norton and Oberlin areas. These storms right now look like they have a lot of heavy rainfall with it, but we are not detecting any real significant rotation at the present time up here along Highway 36 from around the Stockton area up through Phillips County, back through Norton and Oberlin. And what has been probably of most interest to some of you today, if you've been looking at the radar, storms have been tracking from southeast back to the northwest, and we are still seeing that movement here now as we pass the top of the 6 o'clock hour. Other scattered storms from Hayes back into Trego County, really nothing to be overly concerned about there. We've got a little thunder shower there near Ness City, but as we go south toward the Dodge City area, we watched a storm go up over Buckland. That has since moved on to the north and is already starting to weaken. We do have a team of meteorologists helping us keep an eye on what's been going on out there today. Let's send it out to meteorologist Adrian Campa for a look at what he's been seeing in southwest Kansas.
Well, good evening, everybody. Meteorologist Adrian Campe here from our Storm Team 12 mobile weather lab just a mile east of Greensburg off of Highway 400 in Kiowa County. We'll switch our camera around because, as you heard Ross saying, we're watching this storm kind of near Buckland, just off to our northwest. Still seeing some signs that maybe we could see some strengthening later on, but just right now watching some clouds bubbling up. Things are off to a quiet start, but continuing to watch out for any potential storms over the next couple of hours. But again, here in Greensburg area, meteorologist Adrian Campa, back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks very much, Adrian. Let's check in with meteorologist Rodney Price. He's been keeping an eye on some storms and some activity that's been trying to develop. We really haven't seen that many storms where Rodney's at, but Rodney, give us an update from your location.
Ross, we are right now along in Barber County. We're in between Medicine Lodge and the town of Sharon, heading westbound on US 160. Right now, looking right down the road, you can see the clouds kind of have a little bit of a stable look to them right now, but we are seeing a little bit more sunshine the farther west you go, and thinking that it's a little bit more unstable a little farther west of us. What we anticipate from that is the potential of seeing some activity developing. So far, have not seen that take place at this point, but again, we are traveling a little farther west in an effort to get closer to that area where storms potentially could go up. But right now, all is quiet. Again, we're in Barber County, traveling towards Medicine Lodge on US 160. Ross?
All right, thanks very much, Rodney. And we do have meteorologist Peyton Sanders, who's been keeping an eye on some of our chaser feeds and gives us an update from the Storm Center.
Yeah, we've had chasers in parts of southwest Kansas today, and this is a live look right now from Scott Roberts' feed. He is positioned in the eastern part of Ford County, southeast of Dodge City. He's looking back toward the northeast. This storm is near the Kinsley area. It's southwest of Kinsley. You can see the vertical development on those clouds. This storm, though, on the radar presentation is very weak at this time. It's nothing severe. It's pretty much just a rain shower at this point, and that's really what we've been dealing with here across parts of southwest Kansas and the more unstable air. We have seen kind of some showers try to develop, and then they fall apart. Nothing super significant in parts of southwest Kansas so far. We're still not going to entirely rule out that possibility that we see a severe storm farther south in parts of southwest and south central Kansas as we go through the evening. Again, if that happens, again, we've got plenty of eyes here in southwest and the south central part of the state that if these storms become severe, we'll be dealing with more of that activity that could become severe. Getting some additional warnings here for those storms back in northwest Kansas right now. So go back to Ross with additional information.
All right, thanks very much, Peyton. And that is a tornado warning, same area that we were concentrating on just a minute ago. That's actually going to be out in western sections of Wallace County. Just a real quick update here because, again, we're dealing with some very open country, and this is going to be well to the west of the Russell Springs area, or excuse me, the Sharon Springs area. It's going to be north of there, and these storms continue to push to the north. If they hold together much longer, we'll of course have to keep a close watch on what's happening up in Sherman County. One more stop to make. That's with Alex Juergens. He's out there also keeping an eye on south central Kansas. Alex, give us an update.
Well, Ross, we are traveling eastbound on US 50. And looking at radar right now and looking off towards the southeast, it appears to have some type of rain event forming right now. But other than that, it has been fairly quiet.
All right, so we're having a little bit of a technical issue there, but so far Alex has not seen any large hail, of course, any storm organization over the last several hours, and we'll continue to keep an eye on what's happening there. But again, tornado warnings underway in northwest Kansas right now, 3 different ones, west of Sharon Springs, north of Sharon Springs. What we believe happening right now northeast of Sharon Springs, radar indicated rotation, but nothing confirmed at the present time. I did want to show you that we do have a tornado watch in effect for western Kansas. This is going to go until 7 o'clock this evening. Whether or not we see additional watches farther south and east remains to be seen, but we'll come back with the latest on Future Track here in just a minute or two.
Thank you, Ross. You can stay updated on the severe weather outlook even when we're not here on the air by downloading our Storm Team 12 weather app. We've made it so easy to do. Just scan the QR code using the camera app on your smartphone. Our weather team will post video updates on the latest watches and warnings, plus rain totals. You'll also have access to an interactive radar. And then at the bottom of the app, there's a link where you can submit your storm shots.
We are following.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And as we come back on the air, we have a couple different areas where we still have some tornado warnings underway at the present time. One of them being in central and northern Norton County. What we're detecting on radar appears to be more of a destructive wind scenario more than it would be a tornado kind of situation playing out. But keep in mind, if we're getting winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour with this storm, you can get damage that's comparable to a weak tornado. So keep that in mind here as we update you on this information coming from Norton County. The storms, as has been the case so often today, moving from southeast to northwest. A lot of heavy rainfall here. If there is, and we don't have a reason to believe that there is a tornado happening at the present time, there's so much rain it would be wrapping all the way around the tornado. It would be almost impossible to see. So be mindful of what's happening up here in Norton County as we switch over and see what's happening with the wind, because this will help us get a better sample or a better feel for if there is a tornado, where would it be? And it looks to me like it would be just east of the Norton area. Again, kind of a messy radar picture here, but if you're in Norton, up toward Alameda, areas along Highway 36 in eastern Norton County, definitely want to be paying attention to what's happening here. This is a lot of heavy rainfall, perhaps some strong winds too. Tornado warning is in effect. It doesn't guarantee that we're going to get a tornado out of this storm, but we could have some storm damage because of the wind that may be playing out there. Scattered thunderstorms south of the Phillipsburg area, down toward the Stockton area. Now we go back here to Sharon Springs. We had what was reported to be a brief multi-vortex tornado. That is all shifted away from the Weskin area, now crossing over into eastern Colorado, moving away from Weskin and moving away from Sharon Springs. It sounds like there may be some potential damage in Weskin. We don't have confirmation on how widespread that could be or what the damage is. Again, these are just some initial reports coming from Wallace County, so we'll be checking in on that. We do have other tornado warnings north of Sharon Springs, also a very small sliver of Logan County, part of that tornado warning as well. What I think we're starting to see here as these storms make their way up into southern Sherman County is a little bit more of a wind situation that's starting to play out, and I'll show you why. Because when we take a look here at the wind product on the radar, these brighter shades of green that are coming up from the south indicating a little bit more wind threat there south of the Goodland area. If there's going to be a tornado, which again, there is a tornado warning in this area, it's going to be just to the west of Highway 27. So there's still some bit of a suspect area there west of Highway 27, and they're kind of trimming the tornado warning at the moment. But these are some very open areas, open country out here. But if you know somebody that's west of 27, northern Wallace County, southern Sherman County, you want to be paying special attention to what's happening here, because has been the case most of the afternoon and now early evening. The situation evolves very quickly. Sometimes we go from what looks to be a rain shower, gusty wind, to a brief spin up, and that may be something that we're dealing with there in northern Wallace County. This storm is moving north, and so eventually it will be making its way into southern Sherman County unless the storm weakens, which I would venture to say it's probably not here in the next 30 to 45 minutes. So an additional warning may be coming for that part of the state. Storms extend back into eastern Colorado. We've got scattered storms in western Logan County, a couple of storms around Nis City, one of them to the southwest of Waukene, south of I-70. And just as a reminder, even though we have not seen severe weather in south central Kansas yet, the risk is still very much out there. Now, it's looking less and less likely that we're going to have tornadoes tonight in south central Kansas, but there's still a chance we could get some hail and strong winds. What we're watching, the main part of this storm is still out here in eastern Colorado. Underneath of that low is where we're starting to see some of those tornadoes out in western Kansas. But because the sun is starting to come out once again just west of Wichita, heating things up, again, the window has not closed on our opportunity for severe weather yet tonight. So storms will continue to move mostly from south to north. Future tracks still picking up on some scattered storms in north central Kansas as we get closer to 8 and 9 o'clock tonight. We may have a few around Wichita around 8 or 9. If we don't have storms by midnight, it's not going to happen. So the window, of course, will be closing later on tonight. Some scattered showers and storms in northwest Kansas by early tomorrow morning. Things are pretty quiet, but tomorrow afternoon, for those of you in the Flint Hills and on to the east, eastern Kansas, maybe you're headed for Kansas City tomorrow evening. There's a chance for thunderstorms in northeast Kansas. There could be a few popping up in places like Cowley, Elk, and Chautauqua counties, but most of the active weather tomorrow, with what little bit there could be, will likely be well to the east. 70s and 80s coming up for tomorrow. And as we take a look at the forecast for tonight, down to 46 in Goodland, 52 Dodge, 64 in Wichita. The overnight storm chance, a few showers and storms in the northwest. The rest of us after midnight, the rain is gone. 65 in Colby tomorrow, 79 Dodge, 80 in Larned. Looking at a chance for rain in the morning in the northwest, dry in the afternoon. Central and eastern Kansas will see 80-degree weather tomorrow. Sunshine, a gusty breeze coming out of the southwest. Wichita back into the mid-80s. 85 Hutch, 84 Newton, 84 at El Dorado with sunshine and southwest winds. A quick check of your 10-day forecast. We've dropped the mention of rain from Mother's Day forecast. 79 degrees on Mother's Day, 77 Monday. It starts a little bit cool next week, but warms right back into the 80s. And maybe next Friday we'll have a front coming in that could bring some storms. Your Eaton Roofing and Exteriors weather umbrella winner tonight is Holly Larrabee from McPherson. Sign up at KWCH.com.
A Wichita native and basketball star could soon be an NBA head coach. Jacob explains coming up next in sports. We are following some breaking news right now as the Wallace County Sheriff confirms damage to a school in Weston, including the roof being possibly blown off and windows blown out. We continue our severe weather coverage coming up when 12 News continues at 6:30 over on the CW.
And we want to get you updated on the tornado warning happening south of Goodland. It has now been extended into southern Sherman County. The city of Goodland is not included. There's some heavy rain that's going to be coming your way. We did get a funnel cloud report. This was about 13 miles to the north of Sharon Springs. Storms again moving from south to north. Eventually Goodland's going to get back into the heavy rainfall. But if there's going to be a tornado with the storm, it's going to be very difficult to see because of the amount of rain that's showing up. And now here's a new tornado warning. Southeastern Sherman County, southwest Thomas County. The storms that are just to the west of the Winona area continue to move to the north. We'll keep an eye on that. Also wanted to show you the tornado warning in Norton County is over. We've got a shower going up near Cheney Lake, and thunderstorms are now starting to pop up just to the south of Enid, Oklahoma. So south central Kansas is definitely not out of the woods. Weather coverage continues over on the KSCW.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And we're simulcasting on both KWCH 12 and KSCW here as we get you updated on tornado warnings happening out in the Goodland area. We've just had a new tornado warning issued, which does include parts of the city of Goodland and several miles of I-70 out here in northwest Kansas. Things are developing very quickly, and we've had these occasional spin-ups out here in the northwest. And as we go in a little bit closer, there's a couple different areas that we're keeping an eye on. One of them happens to be just west of Highway 27. So going south out of the Goodland area, the circulation is a good 9 to 10 miles south of Goodland, and it's becoming nearly stationary. That will probably be absorbed and completely be gone here in the next 5 minutes or so. But there's a new area that's showing up in the southeast corner of Sherman County that we're going to be seeing what becomes of this. And this is still in some open country out here, but this is east of Highway 27, another circulation that's showing up. And again, this is the southeast corner of the county. Let's give you an idea of what kind of distance we're talking about to the Goodland area, because from the Goodland site and from I-70 there down to this new circulation, we're a good 16 or 17 miles away. And most of this stuff has been tracking from south to north. So watch the area of rotation start to pick up right there in the southeast part of the county. We'll see if it continues to hold together. If it does, you know, in about 20 to 30 minutes, that will approach I-70. Even though parts of Goodland right now under a tornado warning, the likelihood of getting something to develop out of this at the moment, something that we'll see if that changes. But right now it does appear that the city of Goodland is probably far enough away that we're not dealing with an imminent tornado situation there. Now the box has just changed, and so we now have confirmation of a tornado. This is going to be in the southeast corner of Sherman County. So you notice how this tornado warning has a white outline to it. That's telling us that there has been confirmation of a tornado. And there's also been another confirmation of something back here in the southwest corner of Sherman County. So let's go ahead and get this as we see this information coming in. This is going to be 9 miles west of Winona. Okay, so that's a separate report here, but the confirmed tornado was 11 miles northwest of Winona, or 60 miles south of Brewster. So that's going to put it right here. This area of circulation now does have a confirmed tornado with it. This is southeastern parts of Sherman County. Of course, city of Goodland and the Doppler radar right up here at the top part of your screen. And then it looks like we've had another confirmation of a tornado just to the west of Highway 27. All of this taking place in the southern part of Sherman County. So definitely want to be mindful of what's happening here, but it does sound like we've had confirmation now of a tornado happening in the southeast corner of the county. This is well to the south of Brewster. Let's bring you up to the current time, see if we can get a few more roads to pop up on here, give you a little bit better idea exactly where this thing is showing up on radar. And the areas of circulation that we're looking at right here, again, this is going to be east of Road 29. This is east of Highway 27. Mostly contained in the southeast corner of Sherman County. We do have our sky cam up in Goodland. Probably going to just get a look here at some ominous looking sky. There's so much rain in these thunderstorms in northwest Kansas that a visual from this distance, you know, in Goodland looking back toward the south, we'd have to look through a lot of heavy rainfall and we're just not going to be able to see it. But ominous looking sky. And for those of you in Goodland, the two separate tornado reports that we've had in just the last few minutes appear to be in the southern part of the county and not immediately moving into the city of Goodland. But for those of you in Goodland, best bit of advice that we can pass along is just to stay mindful that the situation could change very quickly here as storms approach from the south. But that's a live picture there of some of the dark sky that we're looking at back toward the south of the Goodland area. Sounds like we do continue with this observed tornado, and this was 10 miles to the south of Ruleton. That's going to put it in the southern portion and continuing to be in the southern portion of Sherman County as we bring some of these township roads and county roads back into view. There you can see this is Highway 27, Goodland up here at the top part of your screen. So once again, we've got a possible, sounds like a confirmed tornado there, southeast part of the county. And this continues to move mostly to the north. Let's watch the last hour play through and watch this whole thing start to develop. And right there it is. Confirmed tornado there, southeast corner of Sherman County. This continues to be a dangerous storm. We also have the other report coming from the southwest corner of Sherman County. You can see that tornado warning outlined in white. So there has been confirmation of a tornado in that particular area as well. So once again, if you're in Goodland, the likelihood that one of these tornadoes would move into town in the short term, doubtful at the moment. But stay mindful that, again, the situation can change very quickly. We'll go back over just to show you the heavy rainfall that's going to be approaching Goodland, already coming across the city as we speak. So once again, we've had confirmation of a tornado with this storm in the southwest part of the county, and this one south of Brewster and south of the I-70 area has also produced a tornado. And all of this entire storm complex, if you will, continues to move mostly to the north. So the rain starting to overspread the Goodland area. Things are probably getting a little bit noisy with the lightning, the thunder coming on through. But these tornadoes, and this has been the case for several different rounds of storms earlier today, they're brief spin-ups. Almost as quickly as we detect something on radar, the tornado is there, and then it can be gone. So you need to be thinking about that as the storms come across I-70, is that, yes, we may get a brief spin-up. It may not be something that sticks around for very long, but if it comes over your house, you certainly want to be sheltered as the storms come in from the south. Again, this is a tornado warning for Sherman County. We've got a couple different areas that we're looking at, one of them being east of Goodland that's now coming up on I-70, another one that's well to the southwest of Goodland. Both areas, it sounds like there have been some eyewitness accounts of tornadoes in both locations. We don't know if it's an ongoing thing or if it was just a brief spin-up. My suspicion is, based on what has happened today and what we've been able to basically sample with the radar, is that this is probably a brief tornado happening to the south of I-70 here, and it's going to be heavy rainfall coming through first, and then if there's going to be a tornado, it's going to be after some of that heavy rain begins to move on through. But I want to take another look here at the wind just to kind of figure out and better understand where these circulations are showing up. And it's not very well defined, I will tell you that. You know, something that jumps out at us to suggest where this thing may be is just not there. But one would expect it's probably still about 5 to 6 miles to the south of I-70. It's not in Goodland. We do want to point that out, because even though the rain is really starting to pick up in Goodland, the circulation is, this is the Thomas-Sherman County line, so it's still all contained in Sherman County at the present time. But we don't have a circulation showing up on radar in the city of Goodland. There's the Doppler radar. Of course, I-70 here. It looks like if we're going to have another tornado produced out of this, it's going to be to the south of town. But mostly what we're able to detect right now is just a lot of heavy rainfall that's moving through the city of Goodland. And if we're going to continue with the tornado, it's going to be to the south of I-70. But there is the radar updates, more heavy rainfall beginning to spread across the city of Goodland. We have not had reports of real significant hail today. We're going to hope that continues to be the case. But as these storms continue to push to the north, there is some concern, that we'll see a brief spin up from time to time in eastern Sherman County, but also what's happening back here to the west of the Goodland area, something that we need to be thinking about as well. We'll go in a little bit closer here just so we can get a better sample of this storm. There's Canarado, I-70, and once again, if we have an ongoing tornado situation, which I would probably guess, based on the proximity of this storm to the Doppler radar, if there were a tornado happening right now, we would have a better sample of it from the Doppler radar. So my expectation is that we probably don't have a tornado happening right at this very moment, but it is a situation that can ramp up and change very quickly, as we've had a couple different reports of at least some brief tornadoes happening with these storms up here in Sherman County. So an ongoing situation that does bear watching out here in northwest Kansas. Again, we're really hyper focused on the Sherman County area because we've had a report come in of a couple different brief tornadoes. Here's the most recent one that came in. This is south of I-70, indicating that we did have a tornado a little while ago. The report coming in at 5:47 Mountain Time, 6:47 Central Time, and it sounds like this was to the southeast of the Goodland area. Of course, that's where we've been kind of laser focused for the last little while. Haven't seen any updated information west of Goodland. That should be some good news there. That, of course, now getting ready to cross I-70, but it's this area southeast of the Goodland area, south of I-70, south of Brewster. Again, mostly what it looks like is a lot of heavy rainfall, but we've seen this happen time and time again today. We get these occasional spin-ups that will happen, and if there's going to be another tornado, it is, again, likely going to be just to the south of I-70. And it still looks to me like if we go in a little bit closer, just to give you an almost pinpoint location as to where this will be. So this is County Road 33. This is Road 29, and it's going to be right there. So we're still south of I-70. Goodland's not in view, but there is the tornado. If it's still happening at this moment, that's exactly where it's going to be. This is the Thomas-Sherman County line, and so you'll see the circulation there. It's still showing up, rotating and pushing on to the north-northwest. Now, this thing is going to have to hold together for several more minutes, and it's going to have to keep itself together if it's going to make a path toward the Goodland area, which it's possible that it could do that sort of thing. It's going to have to hold together for several more minutes because right now it's still well to the southeast of the Goodland area. But if we bring Goodland into view right up here at the top part of your screen, the circulation showing up right about there. Again, it is east of Road 29, so we'll bring you up to the current time, give you an idea of what we're talking about for distance from the Goodland area to the circulation. So there's the city of Goodland and I-70. We're still a good 14 miles to the southeast of town. These storms today have been mostly moving from southeast to northwest, and I still think that circulation is probably moving in that particular direction. Now, the tornado warning does continue. Let's see, this is updated information, and it sounds like still radar detecting the rotation and a possible tornado. Let's see, this would be to the southeast of the Goodland area and continuing to move to the north. So we want to stay with you here because this thing gets a little bit closer to I-70 and gets closer to the Goodland area. We want to keep the fresh information coming until we see some information, whether it be from radar or from eyewitness accounts, that would suggest that maybe this thing is not producing a tornado, but you can still see there is some area of rotation that is being detected by the radar right there to the east of Road 29. All of this contained within Sherman County. Even though the warning itself does contain a small part of Thomas County, we would believe that the tornado, if there's still one to be in progress, it is most likely contained in Sherman County. Just wanted to take a sample to see if we were able to detect any debris. I'm not seeing anything that really stands out to be anything suspicious there. So as we go back over to the radar, this notch that's showing up right here, this is going to be south of I-70. Again, just to kind of help you set everything up over here, this is the Sherman-Thomas County line. That would be right here. So there's our tornado report matching up with where we were detecting it on Doppler radar as well. And it still sounds like they're seeing it too from the Goodland area that this storm does continue to produce. At least the possibility, a strong likelihood that there may be a tornado contained with these thunderstorms here in Sherman County. The issue today, there's so much humidity, and these storms have been high efficient rain producers, and what's happening is some of that rainfall gets wrapped around the tornado, and your visuals of it tend to drop off when they get wrapped in rain, and so that may be something to keep a close watch on as well as the storm continues to mostly move to the north, but there has been a slight jaunt, a little bit of a jog back to the northwest, so we'll see if that indeed holds up. The picture that you're looking at there on the left, that is a live picture coming from the Goodland area. We have a sky cam in the Goodland vicinity, and of course from that vantage point here, we're just looking at a lot of dark sky and a lot of heavy rainfall. And again, that's one of the challenges right now, is that we're just not able to see, you know, if there's a tornado with it, there's a lot of precipitation that's obscuring our view of what may be taking place in the Goodland area. So we're going to continue our coverage here because it sounds like confirmed tornado located 13 miles to the south of Brewster. So this is still a dangerous storm that we're watching, and as long as we continue to get these confirmation reports, confirmation here of a tornado, there you see Edson, and of course Brewster is going to be up here at the top part of your screen. We want to continue to keep the information in front of you as we have this rotation that's showing up. As far as the exact location, as we go in even tighter, you're going to be able to see that the rotation is still near Road 29. If you live in this area, you probably know exactly where we are laser focused at the moment. But this hook that's showing up, that's definitely going to be our rotation, the potential tornado out of this storm. It's starting to look more and more likely that this is not going to be an impact for the city of Goodland. If we continue with the tornado happening, it's going to miss Goodland. There you see Bruce right on the Thomas-Sherman County line. As we watch the radar animate, there's still a suspect area there. It's going to be coming up toward the Edson area, a little bit more likely that if we're dealing with an ongoing tornado, it's going to be closer to Edson and Brewster, more so than it would be a threat for the Goodland area. So eastern Sherman County, tornado warning does continue. There's a lot of heavy rainfall moving through Goodland. Things get a little noisy. Probably start to get a little bit concerned about, okay, where's this tornado? The sirens may be going off, getting a lot of information, but we're detecting the rotation to be south of Edson and south of I-70, continuing with that north trajectory. That would keep it out of Goodland and keep it east of town by several miles as we bring up to the current time here and take another sample of the wind just to see, is the rotation getting stronger? Is it weakening a bit? And there's still an area, again, this is still well south of I-70 and well south of Edson, going in a little bit tighter here so we can get some more roads to pop up, and we'll probably bring Edson into view here as well as we've got the rotation again east of Road 29. This is also well to the east of Highway 27. Just so you can see it, there's Edson, Brewster over here, and this is going to be in some open country, but just to the south of I-70. It does sound like we do continue with the tornado happening at the present time. So it's starting to look a little bit more like the area of rotation may be ramping down just a little bit. Let's hope that continues to be the case as we're dealing with this tornado warning in eastern sections of Sherman County. Still a dangerous storm. Before we wrap up our coverage on KWCH 12, for those of you that are south of Edson, south of I-70, the rotation appears to be getting absorbed with the rest of the storm, which would maybe lower the chance that we're going to see any future reports out of this here in the next little while. But it looks like we're probably still going to be dealing with a lot of heavy rainfall. So stay aware of what's happening in eastern Sherman County. I think we can say with a pretty high level of certainty, we don't have to worry about a tornado happening in the Goodland area. But if you're in eastern Sherman County, anywhere from Edson to Brewster, pay close attention to what's happening, because as we've been telling you this afternoon and throughout the evening, these situations change very quickly. Sometimes it only takes a minute or two, and you can go from what looks to be a heavy rain situation to a developing tornado. And that could still be the case tonight, because we've got this big low that's coming out of eastern Colorado in this environment, still with a lot of spin in it. So as we get the thunderstorms going, that spin can sometimes turn into a tornado very quickly. So as we continue with the tornado warning in eastern Sherman County, western sections of Thomas County, we believe the circulation is completely contained within Sherman County, continuing its track to the north. It does not look like we're going to have a tornado in the Goodland area, but of course we'll continue to keep a close watch on what's happening and how the situation is changing there. We're going to continue with our coverage on 12.2. We'll be back throughout the evening with more weather information. We'll wrap up our newscast here on the KSCW.
Professional.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And we continue to track some severe weather in northwest Kansas, no longer with a tornado warning out here in Thomas County or eastern sections of Sherman County. Okay, it looks like we've just had another one pop up on here. This is a tornado warning. This is going to be for areas south of the Colby area, and we'll take a small sample here of what's taking place. First of all, let you see radar animate, and this is mostly moving from south to north. A lot of our storms today have been tracking from southeast to northwest. This one appears to be on more of a straight northerly trajectory, and as we bring up to the current time, let's go ahead and go in a little bit closer to see if we can find the circulation. This is going to be well south of Colby. Colby itself not included in the tornado warning. Looks to me like we've got something right there on the county line. This would be the Logan County line, continuing to track to the north. As far as the rotation is concerned, mostly right now it's going to be right there along County Road 11 and County Road A. So this is north of Winona, extreme northern sections of Logan County. Eventually, assuming the rotation holds together, going to be crossing over into southern Thomas County. The storm again tracking mostly to the north. This is going to be some open country out here. We're not going to get a lot of towns to pop up in a storm track, but you can see that circulation looks like it's just about ready to cross out of Logan County up into southern portions of Thomas County, continuing to be a dangerous storm there. We'll expand the view just to bring Levant and Colby back into view, and it looks like the rotation again is right there to the north of Highway 40, looking a little bit better defined as we get a new sample from the radar, continuing to track mostly to the north. Again, that's something that's a little bit different now compared to what we had earlier today, as storms were mostly moving from southeast to northwest. If we track it north at 25, assuming the circulation lasts that long, just before 8 o'clock this evening, it could reach some areas along I-70 and west of Colby. This is radar showing rotation. We do not have eyewitness accounts or confirmation of a tornado out there in this area. This is northern Logan County and southern Thomas County. Our coverage continues on 12.2. If we get confirmation of a tornado or we see some strengthening, of course, we'll be back on the air throughout the evening.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
And we're coming back on the air with some updated information for the Thomas County area. It looks like the initial circulation that we were tracking has now been absorbed, but we're seeing something else developing just to the southwest of the Colby area, this being I-70 here. We don't have confirmation of a tornado at the present time, but it sounds like we may have a wall cloud showing up just to the southwest of Colby near the Levant area. This is Highway 24. There you see I-70 and the city of Colby right up here at the top part of your screen. What's developing here and what has got our interest is what's showing up down here near County Road N. There's County Road 9, so we're east of there, still south of I-70, but if you watch as this loops on through, it looks like we've got something developing just a couple miles to the south of I-70. If that trajectory holds up, okay, and now it looks like they're kind of expanding the tornado warning a little bit farther north, as it sounds like we have what we're getting coming on the air was a rotating wall cloud and perhaps some funnels, but now that is about ready to cross I-70. This new tornado warning kind of clipping the western fringes of Colby. So if you're in Colby, now what we would suggest at the present time is be aware of what's happening to your southwest. We may get a developing tornado out of this. As has been so often the case today, the stuff has been fairly brief and it wraps up very quickly. So we may be going from a wall cloud to perhaps a brief tornado. We simply don't know. But based on radar returns, this rotation, this signature that's showing up south of Levant and south of I-70 is looking a little bit more organized in the last couple scans of the radar. So be thinking about that for those of you in the Colby area. and certainly near Levant as this storm continues to make its way onto the northeast. We'll go ahead and watch it play through, and then we'll put a storm track on it. There you can see in the last couple scans starting to get a little bit better definition in our circulation there south of I-70. It looks like it will cross the interstate here in the next 5 to 10 minutes as it continues to move mostly to the northeast. Speeds of about 20 miles per hour or so, and it looks like it would probably go maybe just to the west of the Colby area, but we can't say with 100% certainty that that would be the case. But our storm track here indicating that movement, and of course it may pass just to the southeast of Levant. Those areas west of Colby may be thinking about moving to a place of safety as this continues to be a dangerous storm, now working its way through western sections of Thomas County, and again about ready to cross I-70 there just to the southwest of the Colby area. Again, a very dangerous storm, starting to pick up a little bit more intensity in the last couple scans of radar, still south of I-70 at the moment. And there you can see the new warning will take us until 8 o'clock. So we've got about 25 minutes to go here with this tornado warning just issued for the Colby area, as it sounds like we do have this ongoing tornado warning. It's just recently been expanded a little bit farther to the north, and that circulation again getting ready to cross I-70. As we go back over to the traditional view of radar, what you're accustomed to seeing here on television, this is going to be your heavy rainfall, and it looks like the rotation is trying to form on the leading edge of this little arc of storms that we're looking at moving through western Thomas County. As has been the case, most of the tornadoes today have been fairly brief given what we're seeing right now, since this line of storms kind of arcing and where the rotation is. One would expect that if we get a tornado, it's probably going to be fairly brief, but it's also getting uncomfortably close for those on the west side of Colby, and so it wouldn't be such a bad idea to be thinking about moving to a place of safety. In these kinds of situations, in all tornado situations, the safest place to ride out the storm will be below ground if at all possible. Remember, if that's not an option for you and your family, bathrooms and closets are good places to be. If you can put as many walls between you and the approaching storm, it's going to offer up just another layer of protection if, and we emphasize if, the storm continues to produce a tornado as it were to approach the city of Colby. Now you would have a little bit more protection there. Put on a pair of shoes, wrap yourself up in pillows and blankets, be prepared. We've had at least one tornado today that has led to some damage out in the Weskin area. And we do want to be sheltered as this storm approaches the western side of Colby here in the next little while. You see some of the funnel cloud reports that are popping up there just to the south of the Colby area. Again, a dangerous storm that's now making its way through central and western sections of Thomas County. This storm continues to move mostly to the northeast. As we let the radar animate again, just kind of showing you how things are progressing here. These are our funnel cloud reports that are coming up in just the last couple of minutes. For those of you in Colby, again, best advice would be to try to find a safe place to ride out this storm as it continues to be a dangerous one at that. So here's a report at 7:30. Chaser reported that they were able to see a funnel cloud about 5 miles to the south of the Levant area, but now that's getting a little bit closer to the Colby area, and we want you to be sheltered as the storm comes in from the south and west. Radar shows the rotation. We've had some eyewitness accounts of funnel clouds. Hopefully we don't get a tornado, but we do need to stay with you here as the storm approaches Colby now with a tornado warning in this area of Thomas County. Once again, watching the storm as it mostly moves from south to north. That's a little bit different than the trajectory of the storms earlier today, but it is still getting, again, a little bit closer to the Colby area, and a little bit, here in the next little while, there's a chance that we could see something pass over the Colby area. In terms of the rotation, just taking a look at this now as it's crossing I-70. So here's Colby, and the distance that we're talking about from the city back to where we see the strongest rotation. Let's see here, from the circulation up to Colby, we're still about 4 to 5 miles to the southwest of town. In reality, it's probably a little bit closer to town because it takes a little while for the radar to do its sampling, to process all of that, and then bring it into a picture for you on television. So from reality to what we're showing you here on radar could be about 40 to 45 second delay. That storm, again, getting in closer to the Colby area. There you see Country Club Drive. So once again, we're talking about closer to Levant right now. There's Highway 24, I-70 on the south side of Colby. If if you're in Colby, best advice that we can offer up to you is to move to a safe place. If you have a basement, go there. That's going to be the safest place to try to ride this out. If you don't have a basement, closets and bathrooms are good places to be. Make sure you put as many walls between you and the approaching storm as you possibly can. But again, this is a tornado warning. We want to stay on the air because we've had confirmation now from at least 2 different sources of funnel clouds. Could turn into a brief tornado as it crosses I-70, as it gets up here closer to Highway 24, going right into Colby. A dangerous storm here with the tornado warning ongoing here in Thomas County. It does include the western fringes of the city of Colby, Levant included in this as well. And then it does continue farther north from there, but the area of concern looks to me right now that it would be on I-70 and continuing with this northerly path. If it gets and stays to the west of Colby, which again we're going to be watching to see if that happens, the area of rotation will stay east of County Road 11 and would be right here along Highway 25 once it gets on the north side of I-70. So from Colby west along Highway 24, that's where we could see a tornado develop out of this storm. Again, the reports that have been coming in would indicate we're dealing with funnel clouds from that particular area. A storm continuing to track mostly to the northeast at around 20 to 30 miles per hour. As we watch the radar animate here, you're going to be able to see that rotation again crossing I-70 now and continuing to move on to the north at around 20 miles per hour. This tornado warning continues in the Thomas County area. We also have some severe thunderstorm warnings that have been issued farther south, so let's go ahead and check those out while we have your attention here, as most of the active weather has been ongoing in northwest Kansas. You're going to see the funnel cloud reports there to the south of Colby. That's what we've been kind of laser focused on for about the last 10 minutes or so. And the severe thunderstorm warnings that have been issued are farther south down toward the Oakley area. It looks like we may have some quarter-size hail with that storm along Highway 83. Moving to the north, that could be an impact on the Oakley area. And then also severe thunderstorm warnings are out, in addition to the tornado warnings that cover a sizable area there in Thomas County. So be prepared for the possibility of a rapidly changing scenario there from Colby just to the west. We might get a tornado to be produced out of this. Most of the reports have been funnel clouds and lots of heavy rainfall, perhaps some gusty winds extending back into Cheyenne County. But at the moment, we're still concentrating on the Colby scenario. The Colby situation could change very quickly here as the storms come from the southwest. We might get a brief spin up as it approaches the city of Colby. Looks like we also have some other smaller storms popping up now on the east side of Colby, and so what we could deal with here shortly is just a big storm merger there in central parts of Thomas County. And if we have a bunch of storms merging together, it's probably going to lower the tornado threat overall, but it looks like this is still a situation that can change. But we've had a couple funnel cloud reports in and around the Colby area as the storm continues to move to the north. Again, around 20 miles per hour is the speed that we have on the storm moving through Thomas County. A little bit wider view just to show you what else is going on across northwest Kansas. We've got some scattered thunderstorms near the Hill City area. We've also had some storms up around Phillipsburg and Smith Center. But most of the action we think in the short term is probably going to be over northwest Kansas. We've got a big low that's coming out of eastern Colorado. There's already a tremendous amount of spin in the atmosphere, and as these storms start to develop, it can sometimes localize that spin and turn it into a tornado. And this is going to be an environment where we could be dealing with some developing tornadoes. Sometimes it's going to happen very, very quickly. And so that's why we want to stay on the air as the storm does approach the Colby area. Again, if you're just joining us, we've had a couple reports of funnel clouds. Those are the boxes that are popping up there just to the south of Colby. The rotation looks to me like it's still just to the west of town. Could be getting a little bit closer now. Let's take another look here. Rotation kind of spread out over a larger swath there, areas west of Colby. Now, we're going to hope that this storm moves on through and doesn't produce a tornado in Colby. That would certainly be the best news, but it's uncomfortably close for those of you in Colby. And so definitely want to try to find a safe place to ride this out if you haven't done so already. And be prepared for power outages because there's quite a bit of lightning. There's going to be some gusty winds with these storms too. You might lose power for a little while as the storms approach from the southwest, but this continues to be an evolving situation here west of Colby. Tornado warning in effect. Does include the city of Colby and it does include areas off to the west of there as the storm continues to move on to the north. Again, this is an ongoing tornado warning that we have in Thomas County and areas south of I-70. Looks like the threat has just about ended for you. New radar scan coming in. Again, the rotation still kind of appears to be spread out over a larger area, but doesn't mean that we couldn't still see something ramp up here. Again, we're looking at an area that's right along I-70 and now shifting to the north of the interstate. We may be dealing with a tornado. We've had funnel clouds reported. There you see Colby and some of the streets in town. There's Highway 24 and I-70 at the bottom part of your screen. Looks to me like the circulation now has gone north of I-70 and continues to move on to the north. This is not one of our better signatures on radar that we've seen today. It's a little bit spread out, but based on eyewitness accounts of funnel clouds from this area, again, we want to stay with you until we see something from the radar that would suggest the tornado threat has gone down, or we get some updated information that suggests that the funnel clouds are no longer in play and perhaps even the wall cloud may have dissipated. But a dangerous storm in and around the Colby area. Not familiar with where this is. Maybe you're new to Kansas. This is northwest Kansas out here along I-70. We are second county over from the Kansas-Colorado state line, focused on Colby and Thomas County as we've got a tornado warning, and you can see the different outline here, the red with a little bit of white surrounding it too. That's a tornado warning with confirmation of something beyond just what we're seeing on radar. So whether it be funnel clouds or a tornado, again, this is very close to the Colby area, continuing to track to the north, passing east of Levant. I think we can maybe give the all clear to those of you in the Levant area. It looks like the area has now moved on to the east and northeast and will be passing to the areas just west of the Colby community, as it looks like, again, we're still dealing with this ongoing tornado warning. Set to go down at 8 o'clock this evening. We're about 15 minutes out from that. Waiting to get some updated information here to see if that could be canceled early. Probably not going to see it dropped ahead of 8 o'clock. But we're hoping for the best here, that we don't get any reports of any damage or any further funnel clouds or wall clouds. But once again, a fluid situation here. Storm tracking on to the north, moving at about 20 miles per hour. We should have it west of Colby here momentarily. We've also got some other severe weather farther south impacting the Oakley area, where we've got a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for the Oakley area. Includes a small part of Logan County, northwestern Gove County, officially still clipping the southeast corner of Thomas County and southwestern Sheridan County. That storm too in the Oakley area, like the one up near Colby, continues to track on to the north. I see we've got a new marker coming on here. This up here on the tornado warning to the south of Colby, and it sounds like a brief tornado was reported at 7:30 this evening, 7:30 Central Time. And so it sounds like the storm does have a history now of at least producing one tornado. Again, reported to be brief. That's how most of them have been today. But now we do have confirmation that the storm did produce a tornado. And it's still, looking at this radar picture, I think we've got a heavy shower on the east side of Colby. If there's going to be additional funnels or perhaps a tornado, I would expect that it's probably going to be west of Colby. Based on how this is shaping up here on radar, it looks to me like it's going to be west of town. And as we get another sample here on the radar, again, it looks like it's north of I-70 now and off to the west of Colby. That report that we just shared with you was from 7:30, so it's 15 minutes old, and the storm has moved north from there. No reports of damage with that, mind you. We've had some storms that did produce tornadoes that created some damage out near the Sharon Springs area, but this one in the Colby area sounds like it was a brief tornado. Several reports of funnel clouds. Visibility with this one might be a little bit better than some of the other storms we've had today, because there's not quite as much rain surrounding the circulation that we're showing you on radar, but heavy rainfall here on the east side of the community. And if there's going to be an additional tornado there, it's probably going to be west of Colby, continuing to move on to the north. Again, tracking at around 20 miles per hour. As we widen the view out, the two reports there, those are funnel cloud reports. This is a tornado report, again reported to be brief. That was south of the Colby area and continuing to move on to the north. We don't have a lot of tornado warnings in Kansas tonight. We're fortunate for that. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the Oakley area. It looks like we just got a hail report to the south of Oakley, and that indicating a little bit larger hail See if we can get that to come up here. That storm continuing to move almost due north, and so there's a chance that it will come into the Oakley area here momentarily. But there you see the hail was reported to be fairly small there, 9 miles to the south of Oakley. That report, by the way, at 7:43. Lots of heavy rain still showing up in western sections of Rawlins County. That extends back through the St. Francis area. And we do have some other scattered thunderstorms near the Hill City area. We've got another little storm near the Quinter vicinity. Scattered storms up here around Osborne County. Starting to see a little bit more rain and some storms up here west of Smith Center over toward Phillipsburg. Most of that continues to move from south to north. And as we check out some other areas here in Kansas, all still quiet here in south central Kansas. Not likely to see that change here in the short term. You know, there's still a window of opportunity where we could have some storms developing in south central Kansas. But at the present time, we continue to be focused on that tornado warning in the Colby area. Storm is tracking now just to the west of Colby. We have had confirmation of a tornado. That was several minutes ago, now almost 20 minutes old on that tornado report south of Colby. Now the circulation looks to me like we're still off to the west of town and continuing to move to the north. Again, thinking speeds are around 20 to 25. That would mostly keep it the way it's looking right now, probably west of Colby. What's on the east side of town looks like it's some heavy rainfall. There may be some small hail in that. In fact, if we take another look here at what the hail may be doing with these storms up here in Thomas County, it looks like it's fairly small. And just to remind you, so far this afternoon and now into the early evening, we really haven't had that many hail reports. Most of it's been heavy rainfall with these occasional spin-ups from some of the storms out here in northwest Kansas. But as we take another look at the wind, what we're trying to, analyze with you here live on the air is to try to figure out where the strongest circulation is going to be, where's the most likely area to develop a tornado. And it looks to me like it's going to be west of Colby, continuing to move on to the north. Tornado warning again. We've got about another 10 minutes or so on the warning for Thomas County. Looks like the area of concern west of Colby, tracking to the north. That could impact areas northwest of Colby over the next several minutes. So be prepared and stay alert for a potential rapidly changing situation there. But based on what we're seeing here on radar and how things are progressing, the lack of reports, we don't have confirmation of a tornado. We certainly haven't had any funnel cloud reports for coming up on what has now been about 15 minutes or so. It looks like this storm is going to stay west of Colby and continue to move on to the north. Again, we've got about 9 more minutes on the tornado warning for central and northern Thomas County. It does officially include southern portions. As we scan up here to the north, southern Rawlins County, Atwood not part of that tornado warning, but just a heads up here for those along Highway 25 in southern Rawlins County. Yes, you do have a storm coming your way. It does have a history of producing funnel clouds and at least one tornado reported south of the Colby area. But now with what we're seeing on radar, it looks like it's west and northwest of the Colby community and continuing to move away from town. So can't completely give you the all clear yet in Colby, but we're getting close as this storm continues to move along. Also want to be thinking about some very heavy rainfall because you'll see heavy rain and then there's some stuff building up right behind it. When you get one storm following the other, usually that is a setup that often leads to tremendous rainfall in a short amount of time that can create some flooding, whether it be on county roads or perhaps even some highways out there too. That's something to be thinking about. But tornado warning for Thomas County until 8 o'clock tonight. Again, we've got about 8 more minutes to go on the tornado warning. We have not had any further reports, no additional confirmation. So we'll end our coverage on KWCH 12. We'll stay with you always on Storm Team 12. Remember that streams to the Storm Team 12 weather app. If we see something additional, we get some updated information, we'll come back on the air with you and pass that along.
A little nervous, scared, obviously. I was really worried about the kids when I was down there.
We're speaking with school and town officials tonight after a tornado touches down in Weskin, causing damage to the small community.
This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
A tornado touches down in northwest Kansas, leaving behind heavy damage in the town of Weskin. This video showing just some of that damage. We'll have more on that later, but right now Storm Team 12 is monitoring systems in northwest Kansas. Chief Meteorologist Ross Jansen joins us now with those details.
And Rachel, we still have some thunderstorms out there tonight, but the risk of severe weather looks like it's beyond our area for the rest of the night. There's still some tornado weather happening right now to the south of Oklahoma City, but let's go to northwest Kansas, where we've had active weather now 2 nights in a row. We're down to some thunderstorms from Dresden up to the Oberlin area. This location was hit last night with strong winds, even had a brief tornado reported near the Selden area. Again, that was 24 hours ago. What we have out there tonight, some heavy rainfall, a little bit of lightning, some occasional gusty winds, but in most areas likely below 50 miles per hour. We've seen a couple of showers pop up from Belleville down through Concordia just to the north of Glasgow, and most of this drifting on to the north at around 20 to 30 miles per hour. A little bit of lightning, a brief heavy downpour, and that would be the extent of what we're seeing there in north central Kansas. We thought there could be a chance of thunderstorms in south central Kansas. That never materialized. Not likely to happen now as we go through the rest of this night. The main part of the driving factor behind the storms today in northwest Kansas, a low pressure system. It's still wobbling around in that area tonight. We could see some scattered showers redevelop right underneath of that in the overnight. Some of that may still be around first thing tomorrow morning. The rest of us, not even a chance that we're going to get some more rain squeezed out of this system. There could be some thunderstorms tomorrow in parts of eastern Kansas, so if there's any severe weather at all, it would be up in northeast Kansas, maybe areas in the Flint Hills, perhaps seeing a few storms, but overall, it looks like our weather starts to calm down as we head into Friday and the upcoming Mother's Day weekend. We'll come back with some rainfall reports from northwest Kansas. The numbers are just impressive, to say the least, and of course the rest of your forecast a little bit later in the show.
Thank you, Ross. The good news out of Weskin tonight is that there are no reports of injuries. The questions left, though, what about school and graduation? We want to take a look at some of these images. The roof is ripped off of the town school building, and the bleachers, they're ready for upcoming graduation. They're now flipped over. News 12 Austin Morton is in Weskin tonight. Haley Tucker has been talking with him, new at 10. Haley, what is he seeing?
Rachel, well, we now know that there were kids at the school tonight when this happened. Their principal rode out the storm with them. You're going to hear from him momentarily, but first, let's get everyone familiar with where Weskin is. It's in Wallace County on the northwest side of the state. It's a small town of just over 100 people. Tonight's tornado hit about 5 o'clock Mountain Time. Tonight, Weskin is a little bit shaken up, but everyone tells us they're going to be just fine. Weskin School Principal Jeff Montero was watching the sky when the alarms went off.
We tried to figure out exactly where it was, if we needed to go down to the basement. And as some of my staff were doing that, I went outside and I saw the clouds starting to spiral.
That's when Montero got everyone to the basement.
I was really worried about the kids when I was down there, trying to keep them safe, keep them calm, and make sure they weren't freaking out.
And after the storm passed,
well, the first thing that came when I saw is when we left the shelter, it was in the big gym, and it was a waterfall. The roof had gotten damaged pretty good, and the water was coming in from the rain. And then as we walked through the building, there was some broken glass, and then upstairs in like my office and some of the other offices and classrooms and stuff, you can look up and see sky.
One loss that will hit the community hard, the bleachers on the football field.
We just fundraised like over $75,000 to put them in. Community members spent weeks putting them up. We got a chance to take a picture with them as a staff and as a school, and we had them up for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and now I don't think we're able to use them again.
Even then, Montero says it's important to keep one thing in perspective.
I was just happy no one got hurt. Things like this happen, bad things happen. No one got hurt, so it's a good day for me.
Take a look at this viewer video sent in to us tonight. This is captured near Sharon Springs, also in Wallace County. It captures a moment a cloud formation moved into Sharon Springs earlier this evening and possibly showing some rotation. Fortunately, the formation did not turn into anything severe. We're so grateful to all of our viewers who sent in pictures and video like this tonight. Aubrey sent in this from Oakley. Storms moved through, dropping hail. We're told the hail was about marble size here. Check out this storm shot from Marge in the town of Collier in Trego County. If you look closely, you can see 2 rainbows here as storms moved out of that area. Be ready for any severe weather with the Storm Team 12 app. No matter where you are, you will be alerted of any watches or warnings for your area. Plus, get up-to-date videos from our storm team. It's free, and we've made it so easy for you to find it. Open up the camera app on your smartphone and then point it right here at this QR code on your screen. A link will then pop up that will take you to the download page on your phone's app store.